Welcome to Workhorse Wrestling Network. We are here for the Winner's Circle. This is episode number 8. It is Saturday morning, as always, bright and early here on the West Coast, 7 a.m., 10 a.m. on the Eastern Seaboard over there with Miss Anika. We are here to talk about Raw, NXT, and Dynamite and give you our favorite show of the week. We are sans Sammy Joe today. He should be back next week. So me and Anika will hold it down. I guess I'll do Raw and NXT, and then you can do Dynamite as usual.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anything you want to say to the fine people before we get started on Raw
Nah.
this Saturday morning? Nah.
This. Let's go.
Let's go. All right. So it was an eventful Raw. We are building up to Bad Blood, so everything is kind of focused around that. And the first thing we had was, it was a bunch of people arriving at the thing, and then we saw CM Punk take his slow walk from his car where he left his door open. I don't understand.
Listen. People know your car. You're in the stadium. Someone's gonna valet it. The valet got it. It's fine.
So he makes his way through the Moda Center because they are in Portland, my neck of the woods. I didn't make it to this show just because I've been a few times and it is what it is. It kind of loses its luster a little bit. Plus, that arena, the seats are small, it's packed in, it's hot, so it is what it is.
Okay.
But they were here in my neck of the woods, so you see CM Punk walking through the back of the Moda Center, and he comes out to the ring and proceeds to talk about his upcoming match with Drew McIntyre, his Hell in the Cell match at Bad Blood. Questions how many he has left. His sister and his wife have told him not to do this, but he feels he still has to do it.
Yeah.
What do you think of this CM Punk opening a promo segment?
Better than most of recently. People are like, I want the heel CM Punk. I want that dog in him. This is the dog in him. And honestly, this feud's been good. There's a couple of spots where it's like you kind of know they're doing stuff on the fly, and when you do stuff on the fly, it can be great or it can be but like this was great. This was definitely great. I think some person pointed it out where it's like this brought out the seriousness of Hell in the Cell, which we haven't had in a minute. Like past the last two that were good to decent to good were self ones. Him versus Cody with the purple titty, and him versus Edge at Saudi.
Right.
So, but like even with those, they were good, but they weren't like I want to unalive this person in the cell, right?
Right.
This feud feels like after this is done, someone's not going to be on Raw for a couple of months, not weeks, a couple of months. And this promo got that over. So I liked it. It was very good.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. I think that, one of the things that WWE has been lacking a little bit is, solid storylines with really good feuds, right? And as a result, there haven't been an overwhelming amount of great Hell in the Cell matches recently, other than the couple of Seths. So I'm hoping that this kind of brings back that classic Hell in the Cell. Although, to be honest with you, neither of these guys really moved the needle a whole lot for me. I mean, obviously, I like Drew more than Punk because I really don't like Punk at all.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least there is some meat on the bone for this Hell in the Cell match. I would say this is a good feud. My only complaint, and it's nitpicking, is that it's been long, but that's because Punk's was hurt. And to be fair, like, even though it feels like it's been long because Punk was hurt and they kept it up while he was hurt, I also did like the fact that they kept it up while he was hurt and didn't just like let it go while he was gone, and then all of a sudden he's back and kicking into high gear. It's like they continued to let it burn and mess with each other and all that stuff. Well, Punk really messing with him even while he was hurt. So I think that's part of why it feels long. At the same time, I'm here for this match. I am kind of hoping that this is the end of it, though. That this is, that the Hell in the Cell puts a bow on this and that they both move on. I don't know what they're going to move on to, but hopefully this puts a bow on this feud and they can move on to something else.
Well, more so with Punk, we know it's definitely Seth versus him, and hopefully him versus a champion. Like we were talking about this, Gunther, maybe Cody more so than Gunther, but hopefully, like you said, if let's say Punk wins, just don't leave Drew on the wayside because he's so good right now. Not sure where you, like I said, don't sure where you go with him, but he needs to be doing something.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That's for sure. Then we had Sheamus, who is tired of Pete Dunne, and it is tired of hearing how Pete Dunne hates being called Butch while saying Butch multiple times in the little promo. Then we actually had the match. Then we had the match between Sheamus and Butch, which was a slobber knocker. It wasn't overly long, but it was hard hitting. Both guys are intense and hard hitting. They're stiff. So Sheamus came out with a shillelagh. At one point, towards the end of the match, Pete Dunne grabbed it and was going to use it. He ended up not using it, but instead he used a cricket bat and smacked Sheamus in the nuts and got the kick and then the pump kick and got the win over Sheamus. I thought this was fun. I enjoyed this. Both men looked tired and sweaty, which shows me that they were giving it a lot of effort. I'm big on both these guys. I think I like the way they work. They both work very stiff, and it's very strong style wrestling. I mean, they sell a little bit more than a lot of the maybe the New Japan strong style guys. But as far as the offense is very stiff. They're both intense. This is good. I like this feud. I'm here for this, and I'm here, like I've said many times, for all this Pete Dunne stuff. Sheamus, Trick, whatever it is, I'm here for all of it. So, yeah, I like this. This was fun. What did you think of this?
Someone, I think Tempest said it best on Wrestle Talk. It's crazy how looking back at 2011 Sheamus and looking back now, 2011 Sheamus was cool, but now I'm actually excited about a Sheamus match because it's going to be entertaining. And then Pete Dunne is Pete Dunne. He's like black and gold. Even in the UK, it was black and gold at its best. So, like you said, great. I love that they gave Pete Dunne this win because, okay, if you're going to make him a threat, if it's going to be credible, he has to win. And Sheamus is a veteran who can take this loss, and they use the cricket bat. Okay, great. So don't make Sheamus any weaker. But yes, Pete Dunne is that dude. So I like all of this. Yes, great match.
Yeah, the cricket bat protects Sheamus a little bit because it's not a clean win. Yeah. Let me just say, and I've been saying this now for several weeks, both companies, and I'm going to keep saying it because here we have it again, and it's in the form of a cricket bat or a shillelagh. Yeah. These when was the last time we had a solid, just clean match without something happening extraneously? And I understand it's wrestling and you got to keep the storylines up and going. I feel like it hasn't always been this way. Maybe I'm naive. Maybe I wasn't paying as much attention, but it feels like more and more at both shows, AEW and WWE, every match, there's just something extraneous that goes on, whether it causes a DQ or not, whether it actually affects per se the outcome. There's still something in the middle that makes it just not a clean match. And here was another one. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it more on AEW too.
Yeah. We get a video package of Judgment Day taking out the Terror Twins last week until Jey Uso made the save. Then we have the Twins are backstage and they run into Jey Uso. We get a little bit of what looks like some little eye play, maybe a little bit of flirty between Rhea and Jey Uso. She's kind of looking at him with some kind of little eyes a little bit. And then Xavier Woods comes, or Dominic, the Twins are there, Jay says he will be watching Damian Priest versus Dominic tonight. And then Xavier Woods comes in and says, told that they're going to get the tag team titles away from the Judgment Day, which they will have that match later on in the show. So we'll get Priest versus Dominic, and we get New Day versus Judgment Day later in the show. Then we get The Miz, who's hyping up Braun Strowman for his match with Bronson Reed. And yeah, Strowman says he isn't convinced. The Miz isn't overly convinced. This was definitely teasing a Miz heel turn, which I'm here for that. I think the Miz is better as a heel than a face. I just think that's his sweeter spot because I just think his sarcasm and his cockiness just plays better for that, and I think that's where he's a little bit better. That's not to say he's not a good face. The Miz is a great hand in general. He can do anything, but this was fun. What did you think? Sorry, I didn't ask you what you thought about the little Judgment Day segment before, and then what did you think about this?
Well, so when I used to watch old Attitude Era stuff, it was really the backstage segments that I probably looked for most because those were the ones who popped me. I like little backstage segments that prepared me for the match. So Judgment Day and Jay, that was it was so cute. It was so I'm not and I think Rhea's playing it good. Okay, I'm not overdown, but just give me a couple of months. Give me some time. We'll get this together. And I love the whole setup of New Day because look, I know y'all got beef with Judgment Day, but this is our match. Don't come out there so we already know a preview of what's to come. Not what's to come, but okay. It's gonna be some foolery in this match, but it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. And what was the other thing? It was the Judgment Day segment, and then what came after that?
Just the Miz and Braun Strowman.
Miz and Braun Strowman. That's when I was laughing because this argument of Miz, you can't do it because you're not a monster. The Miz going out his mouth. You think I'm a monster? No. No. No iteration of your career or life did no one think you as a monster or even just a big dude that could take someone down. No. So why you play yourself in Braun's face like that? That's a dumb high question. I gotta warm up. But I appreciate Braun trying to be respectable. No, you're the Miz. I respect you. I'm just playing with you. Or are you? Stop playing people's faces. Go on somewhere with that foolishness. Go on somewhere.
Yeah, no, I mean the Miz is great. And he's always best when he's talking. I mean, his wrestling isn't terrible, but he's not the most athletic guy in the ring. So his sweet spot is really on the mic or when he's doing, whatever it is that he's doing where his acting can shine or his personality can shine, because that's really where his sweet spot is. Let's see. Then we had Natalya versus Zoe Stark. This is more of this feud with the Pure Fusion collective, I guess. And Natty's squad. I don't even know what Natty's team is called or what they're called, but let's see. Natty got the win here, kind of surprising. I mean, don't get me wrong. Again, in my mind, there's levels of wrestlers, right? And Natty's up here, and Zoe Stark is down here. So I understand why Natty gets the win. But in my mind, Pure Fusion Collective, they want them up here, and they can't be taking losses because it keeps them down here. You know what I'm saying? So even though it's Zoe taking a loss to Natty, it's still Pure Fusion Collective taking a loss. They're supposed to be hyping them up as a bigger faction, and I just don't feel like they're doing that. I feel like they've taken too many losses and been too mid cards so far for what they, I think, want to do with them.
This is your new group. New groups need wins before they can lose. And so my mind went. This is where my mind went to after Natty won. It's well, y'all did resign her. Y'all did pay her money, so I guess use her. And then think you lose, like I said, and then think you lose her like this, or you're bringing a new team. But I fine. It really is like I fine. That's what mine is with both these groups. No offense. I fine.
Yeah, no, I mean all these losses are continuing to make the Pure Fusion Collective look weak, and I don't know why you would want to do that. So
Yeah.
oh well.
Oh well.
Let's see. We have Rhea. Finn interrupts Rhea and says she's just as bad as Damien. Balor's sick of her blaming him for everything that happened. Rhea says she isn't going to lie because the team was supposed to be a family. Rhea put up with everything because she loved her family. At Bad Blood, we'll see how bad the Terror Twins can be. That's fine with Finn. He was the devil on Dominic's shoulder who told him to leave Rhea for Liv. And then Jey Uso comes out and asks to have a problem. And Balor's focusing on the Intercontinental title because Rhea is out of his league. And then we get a little Balor kind of takes off, and then you get Rhea and Jay talking about whether Jay is out of her league. A little joke, blah, blah, blah. Oh, flirty. What do you think of this whole thing from top to bottom? Rhea, Finn. What about Finn admitting that he was the one that convinced Dominic to leave Rhea and go and Liv?
Well, it's logical because we all it's logical because we all saw Finn take the room key off the table when Liv when they put it on the table. So right, not saying that Dom used it or not, but I can definitely see a conversation of, bruh, get the key. No, but I was not gonna say excited, but I was interested in this conversation because even though Finn turned on Damian Priest, him and I really did well. Rhea didn't do nothing to you, so I was very interested in them two finally having this conversation. Right? Didn't go the way I wanted. I'm not like. Maybe come on. I don't say hopeful, but bro, like I said, Rhea didn't do nothing to you, so not really sure why you got beef with Rhea. Unless the only thing is she sided with Damian, and why not? Because it's OG. But yeah, but I was looking forward to this conversation in kind of capacity. So I'm glad they actually had this conversation of why y'all two are beefing, and not just you versus Damian Priest. And of course, this is. I don't need Jay and Rhea to be a relationship. I just want them to be cool with each other. Maybe it's friends. You want to do friends with benefits, cool. But I like to we know what it is, and that's cool. And I do love that Rhea is still Rhea. You can tell. Sorry, they're showing Rhea's mind because what Finn was like, you're telling Jay you need to stay your eyes on the title, and Rhea was like, I kind of agree. It's like, what? I'm like, no, your title, fool. So that was so you can tell, whoever her friends are, she wants the best for them because it's like, I know you protect me, but you do need to keep your eyes on the IC title. He's like, don't worry, I got it. So I love this again. Backstage segments, I like them. Make more good ones.
Yeah, it was fun, and it helps build everything up and continue. This is where the storylines need to take place, and the action and the storyline needs to take place, not during matches in the ring, and not outside the ring during matches, like backstage or promos. That's where, even in ring promos, that's where you're, which brings us to our next segment, which is Jey Uso in the ring. Jey Uso's got a lot on his plate at the moment. He's been all through this Monday Night Raw so far, but here he is again, talking about his opportunity to win his first singles title at Bad Blood with the match against Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship. Cue Braun Breaker, who comes down to the ring. They have a little face-to-face. Braun says he's done his homework on Jay. Jay's been around for 14 years and is looking for his first title. Braun has done more than he has in just 6 months, which on a singles level isn't necessarily not true. So at the same time, to be fair, Jay hasn't been a singles wrestler all that long either. So they continue to go at it a little bit. Let's see. I was gonna say. I'm trying to think of. I think that's it.
Well,
That's basically it.
I
Yeah, they
love the
talk about
inline.
Spears. Yeah, they talk about Spears.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What was the end line? I forget exactly what the end line was, but
Well, like I love Jake's response because it's like I don't understand why you trying to little brother me right now because he's like, I've been here for 14 years, and like he's like, look, I see it in you. I see that dog in you. So I promise I'm gonna take you lightly. And, but I'm taking you very much seriously. And he's like, we'll see what happens after you and me go at it. Maybe your little IC title reign will be short and sweet, just like your NFL career. Like, oh snap! We didn't even know he played football. And so I love where it's like, what you not gonna do, rookie, is act like you only, yes, you are good, you are explosive, but let's not act like you didn't just get here and that you know everything. That's what I like. Let's not act like you know everything. And of course, Jay has the upper hand. I love that. Again, why is this not on that? It's fine though. It is what it is. We're gonna move on. I love the build up. The build up is so good. So why not have the best build up on your live event, premium live event?
Yeah, I mean, you got to fill out other shows with matches too. So I get it. I mean, you can't just put everything on a. And we already have 6 matches I think scheduled for Bad Blood. So this would have been a good one though for Bad Blood as well. We got Bianca and Jade, and here comes Io. Io's mad because they took out Kairi Sane, and now she is going to take Kairi's place in the match against Bianca. What do you think of this little segment?
I like this because it was like, why would you fight her? Her eyes hurt. And so Bianca was like, look, I didn't book the match. Go ask Adam Pearce why he booked this match. And so he's like, but he want to take her place? Bet. And of course, the match, so good. And why I have thoughts on why people should not be champion. But next,
next we had the New Day versus Judgment Day for the tag team championships. This is the New Day back together, sans Big E, for the first time in a little while. I mean, they've been doing stuff off and on, but they've also been doing a lot of single stuff. So it feels kind of like they're coming back together again, and trio stuff. Yeah. At the same time, you can already see, and we'll get to the end, at the end, but you can already feel a little bit like Woods is in dark gear. He's not in his New Day gear, whereas Kofi's still in kind of his light, face New Day gear. So you can already, just coming down to the ring, it was like, all right, here we go. So I was already expecting maybe a little tension here. And Woods and Kofi have been a little bit kind of, off, not quite on the same page these the last several weeks. And ultimately, with the distraction of the LWO, need I preach the choir again? Here we go. Another match with more interference and more, stuff intertangled in it. And ultimately, the Judgment Day gets the win. Balor with the coup de grace, and they retain their championships, which, plays into the storyline, which is ultimately kind of the fallout of, or looks to be the ultimate fallout of, Woods and Kofi. I mean, after the match, Woods is not happy at all. They kind of have a little, begrudging, whatever. They, little, not like let's just say an unhappy chat with each other. Woods is unhappy. Kofi's like, what the hell? I'm not totally sure exactly what you're all mad about. We took a loss. It is what it is kind of situation. And then we further get, I guess we'll get to that later, because we get, okay, first of all, talk about the match, and then we'll get into the next little segment before we get back into the Xavier Woods stuff. But what do you think of this match and the loss here?
Short and sweet. And sometimes, sometimes you don't need a long match. Honestly, it's very rare for me a match goes over 20 minutes and I'm still invested. So I don't, it doesn't matter if it's short. So here's the thing about DQs, right? Some stuff sometimes boo, and then sometimes there's storyline reasons, and I love it, right? And that's why you can't have two. That's why you can't have too many on the show, because sometimes the ones that are boo undermines the ones that are actually telling a story. And in this one, where the LWO comes out and we don't know that, and Xavier doesn't know this, but Kofi asks LWO to come out just in case something pops off, right? And what happens in the match is this whole fight breaks out because Judgment Day came out first, and then LWO tried to help, and then the ref is outside the freaking ring while Xavier has the pin. And no offense, it's like, Xavier, that's the ref's fault. That wasn't the coach. That was like ref. The only one that's out here is Kofi. So honestly, it's fine. So get your back in the ring. Like, that's you boo on the ref. Start like you were there. You were outside the ring entirely too freaking long. And then, like I said, we're gonna put both together. And so Judgment Day wins, and then Xavier gets mad at LWO, and then that's when Kobe was like, "Hey, I asked him to come out there," and he was like, "Why would you do that? We never needed help." And then this was when Kofi was like, "Well, we used to have Big E. Now we don't have Big E more. It's just us." And then Xavier hears that, "Oh, I'm not good enough." It's like, no. What he's saying is we had a 300-pound monster on our team, and we don't. And now we're going against 5 other dudes. No, just 2 people versus 5 other dudes is not enough. Duh. And so, sorry, but Xavier did have the good note of, but why am I the last to know about our game plan, and I'm part of the team? And so, like you said, not angry, but just an argument of, can we please just get on the same page? And like you said, I love this. This is very interesting, and it got more interesting when they took out the Karrion Kross part of the story. For me, it got more interesting, and hopefully this leads to Xavier being a single star. But I would also love it if they don't break up the New Day for that to happen. It's like, just once. Can we just say, hey, we're friends. Let me go get this by myself, and then we'll still be like I don't think that's a bad thing. Just once. Let's do that just once, right? So very interested in the story. Don't know how it ends. Again, I don't just like, maybe have one match and then hatch it out, but I don't want them to break up for it too.
Yeah, I agree. Just real quick, in between the ending of the match and the post-match where Xavier was talking to LWO, and then he finds out that Kofi asked him to come, and then him and Kofi get into the conversation about Big E, and ultimately Woods, it looks extremely pissed off. We did get a very weird Wyatt 6 video that ended with a graphic saying, "You speak, we follow," and another QR code. Anything you wanted to say about that at all?
I love that it feels like we're finally done with American Made versus Wyatt 6, right? So yeah, I'm not gonna say I'm hugely excited, but it's like, okay, cool. It feels like they're gonna go find another person to feud with, which I'm all for. Like, let them just be. It feels like for Raw, they're just the group of vigilantes. And I like that. Let them let someone be really, really stupid. Let them take care of it, and that's their feud. And we have a whole lot of heel people who are stupid on Raw, so that can be very much so entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't know. It feels like it's a mid-card stable, and their first feud was with the mid-card guy and Chad Gable, and kind of a mid-card group with American Made. So it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. I assume at some point, I mean, they want them to be an extremely powerful and big faction. So at some point, they're going to have some big wins against some big guys, and they're going to have some gold at some point, I would imagine, to give them some sort of credibility. I mean, maybe not. Maybe they just stay in the background fucking with people, and that, I mean, maybe that's fine. I don't know, but it seems like you would want them to have some credibility and eventually have some titles and so on. So I guess we'll see ultimately how it plays out. Right now, I'm still right now. I'm still along for the ride. It hasn't gotten stale yet for me, although it's riding that line a little bit. I mean, not stale, but just. I mean, we got some stuff with Chad Gable, so it's not really like a, go or get off the pot type of situation, but it almost feels a little that way at the same time. Like they need to kick it into higher gear. They need to be doing more, it feels like, than just a video every week or something. I don't know. Then we had Bronson Reed, thick boy, talking about everybody that he smashed, leading up to another Bronson Reed versus Braun Strowman match, which ultimately, I read this little article about how this. I don't know if it was kayfabe or not. It was hard to tell from the article, but apparently they got some heat for this match backstage. The fan that ultimately Bronson Reed threw into Braun Strowman, they were like, there was discussion of whether, I mean, obviously it had to be a plant, right? But there was if it wasn't a plant, if that was a fan, I don't know. There was like, and I swear, and it must have been kayfabe, but I swear that somebody said, I read somewhere that Bronson Reed got fined, I think, for picking up the fan and throwing him for interjecting the fan. So I mean, I don't totally know, but these two had another, big, beefy, meaty men slapping meat type of situation. They went through the barricades. They went everywhere. They ended up with ultimately no match happening because they just basically fought everywhere. And yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this. We got another tsunami at one point. It was a short one because it was just like off the top of a little box onto Strowman, but so it wasn't like the same impact as maybe off the top rope in the ring. But still, what do you think of this Strowman segment? What do you think of Bronson and Braun?
Well, first things first, the whole toss of the fan thing. Number one, I love how it was shot. Because it was like, I think 7 out of 10 people thought, oh snap, a crazy fan rushed in. That's what it felt like. Like, oh, hold on, because we didn't see him get thrown. We just saw a fan just flying at Braun Strowman. So it was like, hold on, did the fan go quite crazy? And like, oh no. Bronson Reed through him. And I think I'm going to say kayfabe, because in reality, Bronson Reed, you can't do that. So you have to be fine. So in kayfabe, yeah, he has to be fine for throwing a fan. That makes perfectly good sense. But like this was awesome. I want your opinion, because it started off with a like he just I think Braun Strowman slings Bronson Reed to the rope, and the top rope breaks. Was that supposed? I'm not sure if it was that supposed to happen or not. So it was like, hold up, I'm still on that. Like, did that supposed to happen, or was?
I have no idea, honestly. Like, it feels like it was kind of supposed to happen, because the way it happened, it looked like Bronson pulled on it when he fell out of the corner, kind of, and that's how it ultimately, because the whole thing came off of the ring post. It wasn't like the rope just snapped. Like the whole metal thing that holds it to the ring post came off. So, because he pulled it and he fell back. So I mean, it looked like it was intentional. I'm not totally sure why. It didn't make a whole lot of sense to me if it is intentional, other than to show how big these two guys are, how strong Bronson Reed is, and they're so big and monstrous they destroy the ring when they go at it. So I mean, if that's the point, then it worked. So, and I guess technically he couldn't do the tsunami from that section of the ring if he wanted to. I mean, to be fair, they didn't do much fighting in the ring, so it doesn't really matter a whole lot. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely interesting. I wasn't sure at first either, and I still don't know if it was planned or not. Either way, I think it came off okay, though.
Yeah. No. Planned or not, it led to this great brawl. And like you said, sometimes you want a technically sound match, and sometimes you just want big dudes just beating the crap out of each other. And it's just like, yes, I want the foolery. I want Braun Strowman coming over a golf cart for no freaking reason. Because I'm just so mad. I don't know how this feud ends. And like, again, this is what happens when you overdo stuff, and when you, because more so in my mind, this ends with last man standing. Like this would have been great if the past couple of last man standings didn't suck, but this one, if you put it here, should work. So still do last man standing, and it should still be awesome.
Yeah, it seems to me that seems to be one of the only logical places to go at this point, because
Yeah.
they've done everything else to each other. So, what's funny is that normally, like, I'm not necessarily big on a lot of these kind of feuds, but this one's working for me. I really enjoy this one. Um, these two are putting in good work, and they have good chemistry together. Which is, I'm not a big Braun Strowman fan. I think a lot of times he leaves me kind of but I do like
Yeah.
Bronson Reed a lot, and I feel like Strowman's raised his game a little bit in this feud with Bronson Reed, or Bronson Reed is carrying it, however you want to look at it. I think it's a little bit of both. But
Yeah.
no, I'm here for it. I enjoy it, and I think it makes Bronson Reed look very strong, which I really like. I mean,
Yeah.
the fact that he's taking out the monster among monsters, I mean, it makes him look very strong. So, and I like that. And for me, if you're going to if you're backstage looking at creative and you've got pictures of monsters and you're saying, okay, we've got Braun Strowman, we got Bronson Reed, who do we want to push? I want to push Bronson Reed. So I'm happy to see
Right.
that, because it feels like that's the decision they made as well. So in that regard, I feel good about that. So I'm not the biggest Braun Strowman fan, but I do love Bronson Reed. So it makes me
Yeah.
happy to see him getting the push. So
Yeah.
let's see. Hold on for a second. We have Ludwig Kaiser, who is backstage with Adam Pearce,
Ooh.
complaining about how Sami Zayn isn't a quality enough opponent for Gunther's next challenger. Zayn comes into the arena, and Pearce is telling Gunther to deal with Zayn in person. Anything you want to say before we go to Sami in the ring? Just about the little Ludwig and Adam Pearce stuff backstage.
Again, this was great backstage segment. This was hilarious because it's like Gunther wants more challengers. The dude coming to the ring been asking for this match for the cup for the past 2 weeks. Why isn't he the one? Like, no, not him. Who else then? Literally, who else then? Like, this was cute.
So then after that, we get Sami Zayn in the ring. Sami Zayn is talking about how he's, give a little pop to Bret Hart about them both being Canadians and blah, blah, blah. And how it popped him to hear Bret Hart talking about what it was to be champion and so forth. Unfortunately, Gunther has declined his challenges, and it's because he says Sammy's not on his level. Ultimately, Sami says that's not true. He beat him at WrestleMania, and he can beat him again. And cue your boy Ludwig Kaiser, who comes down to the ring and says that's not going to happen because Zayn is not good enough. Zayn doesn't think Gunther needs Kaiser and tells him so. But also that Kaiser doesn't need Gunther, trying to sow some little divisiveness between Gunther and Kaiser. Gunther's too good. He doesn't need a guy like you, and you're better off without Gunther anyhow. You're good. Why do you need Gunther? So, and that he doesn't have the talent. He's afraid he doesn't have the confidence, lacks the confidence and the guts to do it on his own. And then here comes Gunther, saying that he'll get to Sami in a minute, and then he gets into it with Kaiser. Him and Kaiser get into it a little bit. And ultimately, Gunther leaves, and then, let's see, I'm sorry, turns down the challenge again. Oh, no, I apologize. Let me see if I remember this exactly. Gunther and Kaiser are kind of face-to-face. They look like they're going to get into it. Kaiser turns around and blasts Sami instead.
Of course.
And then, ultimately, Gunther leaves. Sami gets up and gives, whatchamacallit, a German suplex. And then a haluva kick, and Sami basically stands there and says that he's going to beat Gunther at Bad Blood. What do you think of this part of the segment? The in-ring part of this.
So, not sure why this premium live event, it feels like when we were getting to SummerSlam, we had some weeks where it's like, oh, what are we doing? It's so like those dull weeks of those throwaway weeks. This, okay, we're only 2 weeks in before building up to Bad Blood, but it feels like each week matters, and each week at least something new is going to be in each feud. And this feud is like, I do love the whole. I don't even think it was Sammy being manipulative. It's just like, I know. Look, I know what you like. Looking at it, like blah, 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 blah. I know that you want to be a singles champion. And this, he said that's why you hurt old boy from was it Giovanni Vinci, because that wasn't because of Gunther. It's because you probably don't want to be a tag team anymore, and you want something for yourself. It's like, but all in all, if you really want it, you got to get away from Gunther. And I love that Gunther came out. He's like, before I deal with you, do you have anything to say? Of course, the big bad Gunther. Yeah, it was like, no, I'm fine. I didn't say nothing. You saw me here. I was just freaking listening. And then going back. I guess we're gonna go back, go a little bit further when they interviewed Ludwig in the back. I like Ludwig's response. He was like, Perry doesn't know anything about loyalty. Just look at him and KO. Every time they went for a title, they turn on each other. They don't know nothing about loyalty. And I'm gonna beat his behind next week. So I was like, got a point. So I loved every little bit of it. This was good.
I did too. I enjoyed this a lot. We then have Liv Morgan, who interrupts Damian Priest and has some. She says, "I can't believe that sorry that the Terror Twins are so obsessed with the one time in their careers that they were actually on top." Priest is surprised that anybody in Judgment Day actually has a pair, and he says he's going to destroy Dominic Mysterio later. Anything else or anything you want to say about this little segment?
This was probably the worst of the backstage segments because really, Liv going up against Damien, go somewhere, little girl. Just go somewhere, little girl. But hey, you tried. It was nice. It was fine.
So we get our match that was set earlier between Bianca and Io. Next, Jade and Kyrie are both here. I mean, this was a solid match between two women that can really wrestle. Both Io and Bianca can go. I was a little surprised that Io got the win here. I guess it's because Jade and Bianca are the champions and they want to give some. I mean, not that Io and Kyrie or Io and Asuka, whoever's going to be whatever the tag team is that takes them on next for the titles, not that they need it, but I guess to give them a little bit of a push and rub. I mean, boost them up a little bit, warm them up, which doesn't feel necessary. I guess it doesn't really matter ultimately who takes the pin here against the loss here. I was just kind of surprised to see that, although it was kind of a not fluky, but she rolled her up after the KOD, so it was like it wasn't like it was clean and as far as it was 3, but it wasn't like it was
dominant.
Io finishing Bianca, right? It wasn't dominant. It wasn't like she finished her. It was like a roll up and a quick pin for the win, which I thought at that moment was a little odd. Like it felt like Bianca should have kicked out because that was a weird spot to hold her down for 3. But the match had to end at some point, so it is what it is. But I enjoyed this. I thought this is one of the better in-ring matches of the night, which I'm always happy to say when it comes to the women. So I enjoyed this a lot. What about you?
Yeah. I love this. Okay. Grass, let's go with it. Like, not sure the last time we had this good of a women's match on Raw. And that's mostly because, no offense, Liv's your champion. Get the belt off of her. Because I'm like, I'm sorry. Liv versus Io does not excite me. Liv versus Bianca doesn't excite me. So get this belt off this chick. Okay. Going towards it, like I said, we haven't had this good of a women's match on Raw in a minute. Where it's like not like over 10 minutes, just letting them cook, let them actually get to a crescendo. It gives a good 1, 2, 3. I like, again, and this is what I said earlier. When you do something so many times, when it actually matters in a match, it doesn't matter. Like it gets oversaturated. So like the whole this school blowing her up and Io gets a 1, 2, 3. Yes, I like that because number one, they're the tag team champions, right? So in singles competition, I'm okay in singles competition Bianca losing. If this was a tag team, it's like, oh, why would you beat your tag team champion? No, it's a singles, so that makes that makes a difference to me. And it's like you said, it was 1, 2, 3. I like that where it wasn't like, oh, I'm dominant. It was just like, hey, I got the upper hand on you. It might not be. It might not go this way when we go do the tag. We go to the tag when we go for the tag titles. But right now, tonight was just my night. And I actually did like that. Where and the whole Bianca was like, hold up, I don't lose like this. Like, shit. It's like let's get some things in order. Let's go to the drawing board. So I loved all of this, and more so, if you're going to have this division, if you want the division to matter, these kind of wins need to happen. Where it's like you said, a credible threat. I little bit think that Kyrie and Io can beat y'all for the titles. I just need a little bit of doubt. I don't need a whole lot of doubt. So these matches give me that little bit of doubt. So I loved all of this. And before you, I want to say before you go to 2 hours, give me this women's match. No, even a 2 hour matches, because we saw it on Raw. You give me a decent women's match. No offense, with people who matter. And that's why I do think that Bianca and Jade are good for women's tag team champions because they can float, right? And you need that star power on Raw right now. So if you want to do another Bianca match on Raw or even a Jade match, I would take, unfortunately, I would take that over a pure Fusion Collective match. Like, no offense. Let them face the pure Fusion and get some good matches out of them. So use them while they're tag team champions and can go to both brands. Use them.
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with everything you just said. And this is classic wrestling, right? This is what they do when you have a tag team feud. Mm-hmm. You always get singles matches amongst the competitors to build up to the tag team match. So that's ultimately what we're getting here. Io's trying to protect and defend her friend Kyrie, and they want a title shot. So ultimately, we're getting to that. I guess my question is, and it doesn't really matter, and it's just more conversation, talk for conversation. But how long do Jade and Bianca stay together? And when they split, do we actually get a feud between them? Is it like an amicable thing? Hey, let's just go our ways, or do they actually one turn on the other? How do you want that to play out? When do you want it to play out?
So, not sure how you can write it out, but all in all, I want one of them to beat Nick. I want one of them to be Nia Jax because they are SmackDown people, and then I want them to go into a feud with each other. Like, I'm not sure if you do it amicably or someone just goes full on heel, but that's how I feel like all that should end. And like you do it at WrestleMania, after WrestleMania, but that should be your Royal Rumble WrestleMania program where either Jade or Bianca beats Nia and hey, do a triple threat at Mania. But that in right now in my mind, either Jade or Bianca beats Nia Jax for the SmackDown Women's title.
Yeah. No, I'd be okay with that. And ultimately, when I think about it in my head, I think I kind of want Jade to turn because I feel like even though Bianca's a good heel, I feel like Jade, her lane is really like in that cocky kind of, I'm better than you, very heelish kind of attitude. And I could see her. It seems natural to me for her to say, I'm tired of you. You're stealing my spotlight. You're riding my coattails a little bit. Get the hell out of here. I'm better than you, Bianca. I always have been. And Bianca laughing at her saying, yeah, right. Whatever the case may be. But I can see that, Jade just like, I'm tired of sharing the spotlight with you. It's my time to shine on my own. And having a heel turn, which I would be fine with. I mean, I'd be fine with them not necessarily having a heel turn and just being friends and going at it too, because you don't always have to have a heel turn.
Right.
But for me, I like Jade. I think for me, it felt like she was a heel in AEW, to
Yeah,
a certain extent. I know that she got over so much that fans loved her to the point where she was like a heelish face to a certain
yeah,
extent. But when she started, she was definitely a heel. And
straight
I
up
like her
heel.
better that way than I do. I just think she has a little bit more. I think that's where she feels more comfortable, maybe. So, and it
Yeah,
just that's where she shines a little bit more. So, I'd be here for that. But at this point, I like them together. They need women's tag team wrestling.
yes,
So and they're good for this division. So I want them to stay together for the moment. So
yeah. I agree. Yeah,
uh Merritt, this was the worst little backstage, well, maybe the worst segment backstage. American Made is happy to be done with the Wyatt Six, and they're ready to bring Honor back to the ring and make history. It felt really, really corny. I don't know anything you want to say about this?
so it is corny, but I feel like it's corny in that Kurt Angle 2000 way, I'm all here for. Like, let's go straight up 80s America. I like I yes. Again, we do like all in all, they need to win the ring. But yes, I love the humor, goofy heel American team. So I'm actually here for all of this.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing ultimately and where their direction goes. I mean, it was corny, but at the same time, I mean, I love Chad Gable, so I'm always curious to see where he goes. I think the Creed brothers have a big future, so I'm interested to see what they ultimately do with these guys. I hope
Yeah,
they do something good with them. I mean, I hope they push them and give them something
yeah.
good, some meat on the bone. I mean, I
They
don't.
have to win.
At this point, they've treated them, both of them, mostly like mid carders. So I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is. But hopefully, they'll get a little bit better push. We then had the Ludwig Kaiser Sami Zayn segment you talked about earlier, where they talked about
Mhm.
loyalty and KO and all that stuff. So we won't dredge that up again. But then we have Ilya, who is wishing Jey Uso luck against Braun Breaker. Ilya even says yeet, which sounds a little odd coming from Ilya because it's not like. eh. Let's
But he
see.
said it Ilya
Let's see.
way.
Then Jay leaves and the Judgment Day comes in, and says that Dragunov is making bad choices for friends. Dragunov says he respects the Terror Twins and Jay, which is more than he can say for the Judgment Day. Ben Balor says it was just a friendly warning, but next time they won't be so nice. Are you here for Ilya being sucked into the Judgment Day vortex? Yeah.
Yes. Okay, more so, I'm here for Ilya versus JD McDonough. I'm here for Ilya versus Finn.
Yeah.
Give me both the matches. I'm set. Like, yes, finally have something for Ilya Dragunov to do. Yes, I'm here for all of this. Yes.
That's what I would say. That's the big thing that I feel like comes out of this is that finally Ilya has something to do on the main roster. And
Mm-hmm.
it shows you because Judgment Day is their big main event faction, and now he's involved in them to a certain extent, which shows me
Yeah.
that they think of him. They want to see if he can be in that main
Right.
event picture, which I like because I think he's that good. So
Yeah.
let's see. We get a Bad Blood rundown, and then we get Damien versus Dominic. Uh, Rhea is there and off crutches, but still limping. The rest
Right.
of the Judgment Day is there as well. We get the match. Um, Judgment Days. This you knew, at least I knew, and you should know right now anything that the Judgment Day is involved in, there's always going to be extracurricular stuff, and they're there at ringside, so everyone's kind of involved. Distractions a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's preoccupied with what else is going on. This really isn't much of the. This is less about the match between Damien and Dominic than it is just this feud between the Terror Twins and Judgment Day. Ultimately, Damien does get the win with the South of Heaven. It was an okay match. I mean, Dominic is getting better all the
Right.
time. So the actual in-ring work, the wrestling between the two of them, I thought came off well. Again, I'm going to complain just because too much interference, too much involvement, too much. I mean, just give me clean matches. I don't need all this stuff. It's frustrating. So, at the same time, this is Judgment Day's MO. This is what they do, so I get it. And what is Rhea supposed to do, right? So,
Right.
you gotta try to help defend Damien. So I get it all. And then post match, Judgment Day jumps Priest. And then Morgan throws Ripley into the steps. Here comes Jey Uso, but he's moving a little slower than you would think he would be. Like, I was like, why is he? Come on, man, like, come down already.
Yeah.
And then he stops kind of outside, which was really odd. And then cue Braun Breaker, who cuts him off with a spear. Morgan gives Ripley an oblivion, and Balor hits multiple coup de grace on Damian Priest, and the villains, Judgment Day, pose to end the show. So this was your main event segment. It was a clusterfuck, to say the least. I mean, I didn't necessarily have a problem with it. I did think that the post-match stuff with Jay, it felt a little like he was waiting for something. I started to get that feeling, so I wasn't totally surprised when Braun Breaker showed up.
Right.
It was a nice looking spear. I will say Braun Breaker does do a good spear, so it was a nice looking spear. And you at this point, you want to continue to make Damian and Rhea the underdogs, which you're doing by these guys continually, Judgment Day continually, beating them up, even when they lose, even when Judgment Day loses, the battle or, the skirmish, they're winning that battle for that night. The war is still ongoing, but so, Damian gets the win, which keeps the Terror Twins looking strong, but then Judgment Day stands tall in the end. So,
well,
what do you think about this?
I loved all of it. Again, this brings me back to Attitude Era days in the best way possible. Where it's like, yeah, give me a little foolery, as long as the 1, 2, 3 is solid, right? I love Rhea on the sidelines. Just like if you go on YouTube with little clips, they have her mic'd up where she's yelling at Damien. He's a whip. Come on, get back up. And then her doing the whole putting Dominic Mysterio shirt between her legs and just doing the little eat and then start popping it. But more so, yes, this is why you have multiple people in your faction to take these losses, because no offense, Dominic Mysterio should not be beating Damian Priest. So yes, Damian Priest should definitely win. But like you said, lose the battle, win the war, where they get beat up. Yes. When Jay came out, logically, okay, you can explain it as, oh, it's so many people in the ring, I don't have a chair. So let me survey the situation before I get into it. But logical mind said, hey, it feels like Braun Breaker didn't come, either got held up by a fan or something, because it feels like Braun Breaker should have been there way faster. Like it should have, in my mind, it should have been Jay comes out, spear. But I guess Braun wasn't there yet. So it's like, all right, I'm going to survey the situation. Oh, here comes Braun. But it's like, so like, I want to know. I'm like, Braun, who held you up? Like you got a cramp in your leg. You supposed to be here 2 or 3 minutes ago. But it still came off great, like I said. Still came off great. Like I said, and when you have feuds like this, each side needs to win something or look strong. So I'm perfectly fine with Judgment Day looking strong. So this was a good Raw.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed this. I thought this was one of the better. I don't want to say the best Raw, but it was one of the better Raws since we've been doing Winner's Circle. I think for me, I thought this was a solid B, maybe even B+ territory. I'm gonna stick with a solid B. But it rode that line almost to B+ territory for me for this week for Raw. What about you? What's your final grade?
Definitely B+ for me. I'm trying to think of why I wouldn't give it an A. I'm like, why wouldn't I give it an A? There is nothing bad on this show besides the stupid Liv and Dominic and Damian Priest backstage segment. Like, yeah, you got to give her, she's your champ. You got to give her something. But like I said, there was nothing actively bad, and I would watch this. I would watch this show again. Screw it. I'm gonna go A-. I'm gonna go A- on this.
All right. So I give it a B. I'm gonna give it a B. You're giving it an A-. I'm going B just because I feel like they're dragging out the Wyatt Six stuff with the videotapes and the videos a little too much. That's a little much. I kind of, even though you kind of turned my opinion around a little bit about it, I still felt like the American Made segment was a little corny. So, I mean, there were a couple little things that I felt didn't quite hit the mark for me. And honestly, I'm not a big Ludwig Kaiser fan, and he was on this show a lot. So I felt like I had to deal with him a lot, which kind of is what it is. So just those couple little things just kind of took it down for me. But it was a very, very solid show. So, all right. So that brings us to our next show to review. NXT from the next night, and they are working hard to make NXT exciting at the morning at the moment. Because in 2 weeks, we make our move to the CW, which is apparently a really big deal. So, as we, we're doing we get an opening recap, and then we get Ava in the ring for a contract signing between Trick and Ethan Page for their match at that upcoming October 8th debut on CW. But before she does that, she announces that Sexy Red will also be making her return on that show. And Randy Orton will be having his first ever match in NXT on that show. So lots of stuff coming up in Chicago in 2 weeks for the CW premiere, which is really good. I'm happy to see them doing this for NXT. It makes me feel like they're moving towards maybe thinking of it again as a third brand and not just 100% developmental, which it feels like it's been for the last, basically since the end of the Black and Gold era. It's kind of feel like it's gone back to almost being 100% developmental. The last 3 months or so, they've kind of turned that page a little bit. I would say 3 to 6 months, it's warmed up a little bit. They've had the Joe Hendrys come over. They've had the Jordan Graces. They've had some main roster guys come back down. And so they've done some good stuff to warm it up. And I don't know if they knew about the CW move down the road. Obviously, they probably didn't have it in writing, but if this was planned, then that might be why they started to warm it up again. But I'm happy to see them, what feels like them giving NXT kind of that third brand, respect and energy, as opposed to, this is just our developmental feeder show. Because they do present it like, even though we know it's developmental, they put it on TV, they present it, they do give you stuff that they want us to care about. So, it can't just, if you want us to care about it, it can't just be 100% developmental, because that stuff is stuff to care about. I mean, it's hard to care about that stuff, watching people learn on TV sometimes. So, what do you think about just this little opening part here and about NXT in general and going to CW?
This was
we haven't talked about the contract signing yet, but we'll get there.
Like you said, I do like, even though cable is, cable, everyone has cable now, right? Or for the most part, being on local primetime television is still a big deal. And CW is one of those it's still top 5 local primetime. So I do think it's a step up. We talked about this last night. More eyes are on it, right? And like you said, I think when it was NXT Black and Gold, I think some of the wrestlers were like, I want to stay. And I think that's really why they're like, okay, is there any way possible to make this a third brand? And they really tried, right? But, 78-year-old emotional crackheads didn't want that because they're doing better than him, whatever. But so I'm very curious on, like you said, how you develop and still have a good show, because you still want people to see it. So you still people want to see it. You still need some decent wrestling. So I'm excited. Oh no, I'm excited. Sexy. Why is Sexy Red back? I want this. This don't need to be a thing. I feel like I will say this. I think she's a better person with control around her and maybe structure. With structure, maybe she's feel the girl she needs structure, and her having structure in NXT, fine. But let us be the structure around her. Let's not have her infect my NXT so much. Is what I'm going to say.
I agree with that.
I'm excited. I'm excited. I can't wait for the 2 weeks to come.
So that brings us to our first real well, not segment, but the continuation of that, which is the contract signing, one of my least favorite things that they do in wrestling, especially in the ring. But at least this is being done at the beginning of the show, and it's not our main event segment. I get really tired of when the main event segment is a contract signing. That being said, I'll get off my soapbox. We have Trick and Ethan Page here. Trick comes out and talks about how last week, for some reason, he's talking about Pete Dunne, and he says that Pete Dunne is still a butch, which I kind of got a chuckle about. I'm not totally sure what the subtext implication is, but
you know what it is.
I chuckled a little. We're not going to talk about that.
We say Pebble Beach. We're calling you something we can't.
And so I did like that, even though this is a contract signing for the match between Ethan Page and Trick Williams, that Pete Dunne is on Trick's mind. He's in his head, right? So, and I like that because like I said earlier, I'm happy for Pete Dunne to be everywhere. So he's doing good work everywhere. Here comes Ethan Page talking about how he is, the best NXT champion ever. He's no Pete Dunne. He is Trick's kryptonite, and he has the receipts to prove it, starting with the NXT title. Trick says Page stole the title, but Page says he remembers things a little bit differently. And so they had this little face-to-face. Neither of them signed, and ultimately, Ethan Page puts Trick Williams through a table here. What do you think of this segment and all of this, everything that happened here?
Very, very good segment. Talking about receipts, sir. You fell into a 1, 2, 3. That's why you're champion right now, because you fell into a 1, 2, 3.
Promises to put him through the table. That's right. And on October 1st, he didn't put him through a table here. I apologize. That's
You're
my
fine.
mistake. But he promises to put him through a table.
And I respect that. Even though you got put through the table because you was in my way and you tried to attack me, that's why you got put. So even though you want your lick back, it was the lick that you want back is your fault. But anyway, I was like, talking about receipts, sir. You fell into the 1, 2, 3. You didn't beat me. You didn't do a finisher and pin me. You fell. But I love, you're a heel though. But you're a heel, so I loved every minute of this. Who do you think should win? I don't know who should win on the season premiere. I don't know.
Yeah,
between Trick and
it's tough. I'm not totally sure. I mean, I feel like Trick's already had the title, and I don't know that he needs to be 2-time, but at the same time, Ethan Page needs to. I mean, okay, let me rephrase this. If your goal is to continue to keep NXT moving in a high gear and on the ascent, and you wanted to do good on CW, I think you need a guy like Ethan Page on the NXT roster regularly. At the same time, he is perfect for the main roster too. Mm-hmm. So I get it, and I wonder how long. He's already ultimately stayed a little longer than I thought he was going to. At the same time, if I'm Ethan Page, I'm kind of happy being maybe a big fish in a small pond a little bit in NXT, because he can, he is that. He's not developmental anymore, and most of these guys and girls are. So he has that over them. At the same, and if he goes to the roster, maybe, I think he's good enough that he doesn't, but maybe he falls a little through the cracks. I don't know. So maybe, he likes being here. And again, it's good for NXT. At the same time, I do think he's destined for the main roster at some point, and probably sooner than later. Mm-hmm. So, and it feels like Trick still has some growing to do, and maybe the best way to do that is with another title run. I'm not totally sure. Trick is definitely He's the developmental face of NXT right now.
Yeah.
He's the guy that's still learning, but is also getting the really big push. So, I don't know. I'm torn here. Honestly, I'm not mad either way. I'm just interested
Right.
to see. I'm interested to see what decision they make because it'll be very interesting to see. The match should be good though. I'm here for the match. We're gonna get dirty Ethan Page, which is great. You're gonna get, righteous face trick and battling and fighting all of Ethan Page's dastardly deeds during the match and all that kind of stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
no, I mean it should be really good. And these two seem to have really good chemistry. So I'm excited for it. And even though I don't like contract signings, and even though they ultimately didn't sign the contract because, and we'll talk about it later, they had to figure a way to get a celebrity on the show to do that ultimately at the end.
Yeah.
I thought this worked out fine, and it did. Ultimately, it still continues to build this match for me a little bit at the debut on CW. So, which is what it's supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we get Hammerstone lose. We get a clip of Hammerstone losing to Obafemi, and then we get Tony D'Angelo. This is after Lashley's loss. We get Tony D'Angelo getting into Hammerstone for losing, even though Hammerstone got paid. Tony D wants Hammerstone to do it again, but Hammerstone isn't going to do that. And a match between the two of them definitely seems like that's what's next. This is a video clip. What do you think about this before we get to what comes later in the show, obviously?
So Hammerstone is signed at TNA, right?
I believe so. I think so.
Right. So
I honestly don't know.
Right. I'll say this is actually I like this spot for Hammerstone, right? He doesn't really have a personality. If you want him to be the hired gun, hitman for hire, I'm all for it. So I'm not mad at this. Like, again, like you need those weeks to progress a feud. This was a nice little thing to do this week.
Yeah, no, Hammerstone definitely still needs some developing, which is why NXT is a really good spot for him. He needs to, like you said, I think he has some personality, but he needs to learn how to express it more and develop it more, tweak out the character a little bit more. He was more animated in MLW. I don't know if AEW said, hey, I'm sorry, on NXT. I'm sorry, WWE. Holy smokes! If WWE has asked him to kind of tamper it down a little, but he was a little more kind of boisterous and a little more. He was almost kind of Terrence from Tampa-esque in some of his promo work and personality in MLW. Maybe they've asked him to, hey, let's not quite be that guy here. So maybe that's why he's a little bit more. I did think that a sweet spot for him for at least a little bit would be as Tony D's muscle. He, to me, is a way more formidable goon than either Luca or Stax. Neither of them do anything for me. I mean, the Don's bigger than both of them physically, and he's already proven that he's a better wrestler than them. So it's weird. Like if you're the Don and you're going to have muscle or people protecting you, they're going to be people that are bigger than you and can handle guys that in theory you probably can't. So not smaller guys. So I thought that Hammerstone would be a perfect fit for a little bit. Obviously, we're not getting that as that's not what's going on here. But I do like this spot for Hammerstone. I think a good feud with him. Tony D's a good feud, and I like his work with the family. So I'm here for it. He does need to continue to develop. So I think this is a good spot for him to do that. So let's see. Ava's talking to Mr. Stone and Seaweed Turner about a surprise she has for tonight. And Javon Evans comes in and asks about being on the show in Chicago. And Ava says she will get back to him. We'll end up seeing what happens from there. We then have Tatum Paxley and Lyra Valkyria versus Wendy Chu and Rosemary. It's interesting to me to see how WWE is utilizing the NXT talent.
Yeah.
Like Joe's been in and out. Wentz has been in and out. It feels like Rosemary's kind of been here to stay. Like she's been on now 3-4 weeks in a row without what feels like a break off. So I don't know. I'm not sure if she's I mean, I wouldn't necessarily mind seeing her make the move all together to NXT or to
Yeah.
WWE. I don't know that she's necessarily. I mean, you have Rosemary to me is very kind of occultish, if that makes sense, kind of supernatural.
Oh
That's
yeah, yeah,
kind
yeah.
of
Most definitely.
her lane, and you already have Alexa Bliss. You already have the Nikki Crosses. So I don't know how much room there is for another one, but at the same time, I mean, I like Rosemary, and I think she would do great to benefit the women's division in NXT and probably the main roster as well. So,
Hmm.
and I wouldn't mind seeing her. I mean, I'd love to see her wrestle in Io Sky or Bianca Belair or, ultimately, I know, right?
Right.
So, um, but here we get, we get Lyra Valkyria hit the top rope axe kick to finish Rosemary at right around 10 minutes. Lyra and Tatum get the win here. This is the new friendly friend group. Lyra got drafted and did a couple things on the main roster, and now she's been back here. I don't know if they determined that she wasn't quite ready. Maybe they didn't have enough for her there, so let's put her back down here and pair her with Tatum. I don't. This doesn't do a whole lot for me. I'm here for the Rosemary stuff, so that's
Yeah.
great. I don't really care about Lyra and Tatum. I like Lyra, but I don't care about her with Tatum.
Right. Like, all in all, it just makes sense story-wise where they used to be friends, trying to help her out. Cool. Not gonna put her in the same boat as Pete Dunne, but I do like, if we don't have anything for you, you're just gonna be in catering. Just come on back, have a little stint in NXT, then we'll bring you back up. With Laura, it does feel like after Becky Lynch took her vacation, it was like, this was basically, no offense, this was basically a Becky Lynch hire. We brought you up because of Becky Lynch. Now she's gone. Yeah, she's on the main roster with the Natalia group, but that still don't feel like a good fit. So, like you said, until we figure out what is good for you, yeah, come on down to NXT, get some reps, and then go back when we do find something for you. With the NXT people, it really does feel like right now they're just having fun until their contracts expire. Like it really, that's what it feels like. When their contracts expire, and we can actually get down to business on if you're really going to choose us over them. Like right now, it's just fun. HBK said, "I'm not going to put these guys over my guys," which is loyalty wise, I get it because we're still different brands. But on the other hand, baby, you got to let them beat the people once. Like this is why you have 3 matches. Either one beats one. And yeah, you get a rubber match.
And don't get me wrong, like we know that it's pre-scripted and that the outcome is predetermined, but we don't know who it is. And when you say, I'm not going to let my guys lose, then we already know. Then what's the point of the matches? Why are we invested in Jordynne Grace wrestling anybody for anything when we know that she's not going to take a WWE title? That they're not going to put a WWE title on a Jordynne Grace or a Joe Hendry.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't know. Keep her mouth shut.
Right, but on the flip side, you did have Zachary Wentz beat Wesley, so there are caveats to this, and I think Joe Henry beat someone to go for it. So like there are caveats. Right. They're going to win something, but the big title.
Right, exactly.
If they win the big title, it would be a huge surprise.
100%.
Yeah,
which does take some of the predictability or makes it a little more predictable. Which is what it is, Okay. Ava insists the contracts will be signed tonight. We will get to that. Charlie Dempsey is glad to have Tavian Heights back with the no quarter catch crew. They're not going to change the name of this group. They're just going to leave it as it is. They're going to continue to try to push this group with the name it has. First of all, I'm here for. I mean, I like Charles Dempsey, so I'm Charlie Dempsey, so I'm here for that. Ren Sinclair has been fun so far, so I like her. Her personality is fun and engaging. Right. Miles Bourne doesn't do anything. He gives me 0 personality, 0 nothing. And now they swapped out Damon Kemp, and I guess he left because he got fired or let go or quit, whatever the case, contract was over.
Yeah.
And now they brought in another guy. And don't get me wrong, I like Tavian Heights, and I think Tavian Heights is a personality that the No Quarter Catch crew needs. It's just interesting to see that you go away from one guy and then move on to another guy. It's like, okay, maybe it was like I said, they moved on from Damon Kemp for whatever reasons. Maybe you know why, you can tell us. But what do you think of this little segment? What do you think of the No Quarter Catch crew now with Tavian Heights?
They definitely need Tavian Heights to bring that little energy. Like you said, I don't know why you get rid of David Kemp. I think it really does have unfortunately, it feels like we hired you only for your brother, and because your brother's a dud, we don't really care about you, even though you did better than your brother.
Right?
It's so unfortunately because he had more personality, but sometimes it beats that way, unfortunately, and hopefully Damien Kemp doesn't stop. I know he changed his name. He's now on the indie scenes. Get them reps, baby, because you're gonna do something. You can definitely do something in the wrestling world. But like you said, No Quarter Catch crew, they still need like that one little sprinkle of paprika to make me actually more interested. But as of right now, they're fine. They're fine.
I mean, they need to change the name, and hopefully Tavian Heights will add some more personality. They're all Ren Sinclair really is the only one with any real personality. Bourne and Dempsey, even though I really like Dempsey, Bourne and Dempsey are kind of bland and don't really have a whole lot going on, energy-wise or personality-wise. So, whereas Tavian Heights, I think, does. I enjoyed him. He's been on NXT for a little while, and he's had some good matches, and he's looked good. So, him and Javon Evans kind of came in at the same time, but they really pushed Javon Evans a lot more. So I'm glad to see that Tavian Heights, who I was afraid was kind of getting brushed to the side a little bit because Javon Evans has stepped up, or they've decided to push him. But now it looks like they're going to do the same with Tavian and give him some stuff here with the No Quarter Catch crew. So I'm happy to see that because No Quarter Catch crew, whether we like them or not, they're on TV, they're on NXT a lot, and it will give Tavian the rub of being on TV. So
you can even abbreviate it. NCCCC. Like how many? Really?
Right? All right. So then we get the match that was hinted to from the video package earlier, which was Tony D versus Hammerstone. You call it a match. It wasn't really quite a match. I mean, it was for about 2.5 minutes. And then Tony D got frustrated and said, fuck this, and walked away and ended up getting counted out. Hammerstone definitely seemed like excuse me, like he was in control. The point that Tony D got frustrated.
Yeah.
He looked better this week than he did last week, Hammerstone. So, I mean, I don't know. This was basically all that happened with this. Anything you want to say about it?
It was fine. It was fine.
It was fine. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens after this. I mean, I don't know.
I'll say this. I still have somewhat hope that Hammerstone will be part of the family. I think that's a good place for him. So I'm not going to jump off the boat of that just yet.
Yeah. I thought that Hammerstone and Tony D had some decent chemistry for the couple minutes that they let them wrestle. So I'm not necessarily opposed to a match between them where we actually get a real match where it's not whatever. So I guess, but we'll end up seeing what happens. Zachary Wentz pops up in front of the commentary table and shows us a clip of Wesley attacking Trey Miguel in the parking lot. And now Trey Miguel went back to Trey Miguel is in Dayton, Ohio, milking his wounds, and Wentz is excited to get his hands on Wesley at Bad Blood. They don't know how long Trey is going to be out of action for, but the pain that Wesley is going to suffer in Chicago is going to be even worse. What do you think of Zach's promo here? Did it do its job? Are you more excited now for their match?
It did. And did it like with this feud? Hey, boo boo.
What's up, y'all? Thanks for joining.
With this feud, you don't need to put so much stick on the fire, right? Two old friends turn against each other. Gonna go butt crack crazy in Chicago, the premiere of them on CW. It's going to be great, right? But this did not lessen my excitement. So good on you.
Next, we had Indiana Pacers star Tyrese Halliburton
Right?
come out and say he can get Trick and Ethan Page to sign the contracts. Okay. I mean, I guess it's a way to bring another bit of star power to NXT. And the problem is that, and don't get me wrong, Tyrese Halliburton is a really good basketball player. He's not someone that people just know.
Yeah.
So, like, you see it's not like when you see his face, you just go, oh, shit, it's Tyrese. Like,
that
everyone's
dude.
like, who's that? Like, who is that? Like, okay, it's Tyrese. Okay, you know what I mean? So, there's a little bit of that. So, if you were hoping to get that pop, I don't think you achieved that with him. But it is what it is. And, okay, I mean, he did fine for what he was supposed to do. Fatal Influence is ready for Lola Vice. Then we get Lola Vice warming up in the back. She's not a fan of Jada Parker. And then cue Miss Parker, who says she is fighting Fatal Influence tonight. Vice says Parker can have them after she is finished. And then, what do you think of this little segment? We'll get into the match when it comes up later. What do you think of this little back and forth?
This was cute, but give me Lola Vice versus Miss Parker. Yep, do that now. Next program. That will be awesome. Do it now.
Okay. Finally, some payoff to one of the worst segments in NXT that has been ongoing. We actually get a match, a terrible match that lasts only like 3.5 minutes. But at least it's a match between Eddie Thorpe and Ashanti the Adonis, who have been going back and forth about Eddie Thorpe's, interaction with the women backstage and this whole, I don't even know what it is. But Thorpe hits his implant DDT for a win in like 3.5 minutes, which was a terrible match too, which is unfortunate because in a vacuum, I don't have a problem with Eddie Thorpe. He's a talented guy who did a lot of great work, in New Japan and all that stuff. So I had high hopes. And Ashanti, I love Ashanti the Adonis. In the vacuum, I like both these guys. This has been terrible. This has been really, really bad. And this match didn't do anything. I don't know. But what do you think of this at all?
No, like you said, do we really need a somewhat story for them to have a match? They really could have had a match and be done with it. It's over. So hopefully let it be over.
Let it be over. All right. So Thea Hale and Riley Osborne are crushed after Ridge Holland turned on Chase U. Osborne is upset because he was right about Holland and promises to take Ridge out once and for all. Anything you want to say about Riley, Thea, Ridge, Chase U before we move on?
I'm invested in Chase U. Don't care about Ridge Holland. I don't know where we go with this, but I'm hoping at the end Chase U gets pushed more than Ridge Holland. I'm sorry. Like no offense. You gave Ridge Holland so many freaking opportunities. I don't know how this plays out, but just make sure Chase U is okay. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of Chase U, so I don't really care. But Ridge Holland has had too many opportunities, and he's proved that. I think he's proven that he's not what I think they want him to be. And honestly, Riley Osborne versus Ridge Holland does nothing for me. I don't. So it is what it is.
I know Sheamus got hurt, but he was better off with Sheamus, Pete Dunne. Like them three, y'all should just kept him in there. No offense.
That was the best Ridge Holland we've seen, but even then, he was still busy hurting people, and so it is, and getting hurt. So it is what it is, I guess.
What it is.
All right, Cult of Personality hits, and here comes CM Punk to your NXT screen. He says while he watches NXT, he's never been here. When he was rehabbing, he would try to sneak in and hang out in the shadows and watch a show, and the fans would see him. So he made a little face to face with some of the fans, like I remember you. Excuse me. Let's see. Trying to remember all the stuff he says. And now he knows he's going to have to face some of these people. It would be fun to face Alexis King, Ethan Page. He says he has shirts older than Javon Evans, but that I guess ultimately he would like to, whatever, I guess maybe wrestle Javon. Sean called him up about being in Chicago for the first CW show, and Punk told him he would do whatever he wanted to do. To your NXT Women's Champion, which I thought was kind of an odd spot, but I get it as it progresses. To Roxanne Perez, she comes out saying that Punk was probably going to talk about Julia because everybody does, and she doesn't want to hear it. And then proceeds to talk about how she was Punk's biggest fan when she was 13 years old. Well, actually not Punk. I always preferred your wife. Which I think was supposed to hit a little bit harder than it did. Like, I'm not sure that okay. And so that obviously
you're a female. You're supposed to go for the female. like chick. And like you're not, yeah.
And to be fair, like, I mean, I don't know, like, does Punk care if Roxanne Perez likes him or not, or was a fan of his, or if she liked AJ Lee more? Like, I mean, really? So what? I mean, like,
right?
As far as I'm Punk, like, I don't. What are you doing here? Like, I don't care about any of this. So the fans chant AJ and Perez. Realizes she should have been a Drew McIntyre fan. There's the real stab. There's the real stab at CM Punk, right?
Yeah.
Perez gets why Punk wants to be in Chicago, but this is all about her. Punk says, "Can I say something?" Perez says, "No, I'm not done yet." Punk isn't worried about what Perez is saying, and blah blah blah. Let's see. He says he can appreciate an overconfident champion, and he used to have a her-sized chip on his shoulder. That title might make her the best in the world, but last night he was watching Bianca and Io, and he thought Perez might be better than them, which I thought, okay. The thing is, it doesn't matter if Julia takes the title in Chicago, and then cue Julia. And here comes Julia. She says the countdown is on. She goes to leave. Perez swings with Punk grabbing her arm. Punk and Roxanne look at each other. And yeah, what do you think ultimately about this segment? I'm pretty sure that was basically the end of the segment. So what do you think about this whole segment with these three people?
So I think they did their best in Punk's a face, Roxanne's a heel, because before Roxanne turned heel, we saw the little videos of Perez, Jade, Cora Jade, and him, because we know you're fans of them, right? So you did your best in saying, well, I used to be a fan, blah, 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 right? So I think they did their best in, yeah, Punk's a face, she's a heel, but they do have this connection. Like you said, more fan of your wife. Who wasn't? When Punk came back, my niece said, "Where's AJ?" But because she's a girl, and no offense, not to be like, oh, girls should only be fans of girls, but there is no, like you said, there's no dig if you gravitated towards the bad behind chick that was AJ Lee. So it's like, I think he should have said, yeah, you should be a fan. That's why I married her, right? But like he said, did you make a chire? Like, okay, there's the dig. And again, I love the Punk was like, you can be, in this segment, it felt like you're trying to be more than what you are. And Punk is like, look, I get it. I get why you're acting this way, but you know I'm right. So I'm still going to tell you what you need to hear, which is basically you want to get your behind whooped by Julia. So stop acting stupid and get your eyes on the ball. The whole
Right.
you could be better than Jade and Io. I do love the part of do I want to see Perez versus Io? Yes, please. I feel that. I give me that. But so that was cool. And Julia was like, I don't care about none of this. TikTok, nigga. I think that belt off you. October 1st, I think that belt off you. Point blank period. So this was fairly decent. You're trying to use Punk as much as you can before you go to CW in Chicago. This was cool. This was fine.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna have to use them, I guess this is as good a way as any to use them. I mean, I kind of would have rather had seen him maybe come out and be like, you know, I hung around during my recovery in the back. I saw all these guys wrestle, and watching them wrestle, it made me hungry to come back. And so there's a couple guys I want to wrestle, and maybe he called somebody out, like actually called somebody out for a match. That might make it a little bit, and maybe that person came down as opposed to Roxanne Perez. But I understand, and it worked fine. I mean, your ultimate goal is to continue to hype up the Roxanne Perez Julia match, and this does this because CM Punk crosses, he brings them together to a certain extent. So.
Yeah.
I guess. Who do you think gets the win? Do you think Julia beats Roxanne, or do you think Roxanne retains?
Even though we love Julia, there's arguments on both sides on who should win, right? Like on the Roxanne side, this been your girl. She's been the flagship bearer of your women's division for the longest. On the other side, when you have a person like Julia, why are we waiting? Why wait? So, I would put the belt on Julia. Like, Julia should win. If you want to run it back, and she beats her twice. But yeah, Julia needs to win.
I mean, it's one of those things where it almost has kind of, unfortunately, Julia, her reputation precedes her. We all know how good she is in her work, her portfolio of work. So it's almost, and I'm not going to say that she's quite at that same level, but it has that same feel of Will Ospreay. Like, how do Julia lose? Like, how do you book them to lose? Somehow if she loses, it has to be something. Roxanne has to cheat. Something has to happen for Julia to lose.
But like someone be your ally who's bigger. Ooh, yeah. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, because you can't just. It might be a good spot for Stephanie, right? Stephanie
yes. And you have Stephanie be with Roxanne, maybe. Big fat maybe. Yeah, okay.
Or at least come out to help for the moment, and then ultimately maybe we get a three-way or something. I don't know, whatever. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's tough because Julia probably shouldn't be losing to Roxanne Perez, just as far as in the scheme of the wrestling worlds. And when I talk about levels, like, so it's tough. And so I don't know how you actually book Julia to lose, but so I think Julia probably gets the win, but it'll be interesting to see what happens because Roxanne has been your girl for a while. Now, I also think Roxanne is all but ready for the main roster. So if your goal is to keep Julia in NXT for a minute, I guess she wins the title. Roxanne can go to the main roster, and Julia can stay with the title and either have a feud with Stephanie or whoever else, a Lola Vice maybe even. I don't know. I mean, she could have a good match with a Jada Parker, although Jada still needs a lot of development. But I mean, she's good. A Rosemary. Can we see a Rosemary here get a shot like in a single shot? In the, you know what I'm saying? So that So all those things would be fun, but it'll be interesting to see how they ultimately do this and how they book this out. But I imagine Julia gets the win. I mean, if she doesn't, it's because Roxanne cheats, has somebody help her, uses something, whatever. Because I can't imagine her just getting a clean win over Julia. Not Julia's debut match. Not her debut match. Like, I mean, you can't do that. So at the same time, it feels a little weird to be putting a title on somebody in their debut match too. It's like, wow, I guess this is where we are. I mean, to be fair, it is NXT and it's Julia, so I get it.
Right.
But it's like, whoa. All right, so on to another champion, Kalani Jordan. Our women's North American champion is not concerned about fatal influence. She's thinking about issuing her own open challenge when Ren Sinclair, the best part of the No Quarter Catch crew at the moment, runs in and slaps her in the face and then runs away. I don't know if that was leading, if that's supposed to be foreshadowing, and we're going to get Kalani versus Ren. But I mean, I'm here for Kalani Jordan to issue an open challenge. I mean, I think this is fine. This is fine.
Yeah.
Tony D admits to the family that he's scared of Oba, which I didn't like at all. I really didn't care because he's the fucking Don of NXT. Have you ever in your life, and I mean, obviously, my only experience and probably yours, unless you actually have someone in the mafia in your family,
Right. I do not.
Is through TV and movie. Have you ever seen a mafia boss ever say I was scared of somebody or like a show that? No, they don't do that. So this to me doesn't feel right for his character.
Yeah.
It's one thing for maybe him to have an internal struggle. Maybe if we see him like alone in a moment of contemplation, watching the video of him losing to Oba, but actually admitting to especially his three underlings. Well, I guess maybe his girlfriend and his two underlings, and he's scared of somebody. No, that doesn't happen. So I had a real problem with that, but I guess it is what it is. What about you?
So, like, on one hand, it's Oba, this big dude that swung me around like a kickback bar. So yeah,
Right.
so but to your discretion, I do like. I wouldn't have said scared, maybe worried. Like there were other words to use. I can definitely see that point of worried, concerned. We need to handle this Oba problem. So that's writing. So they're underlings, but there's only 3 people in here, right? So I can see if it was just him and Stacks. This would there we go. In my mind, we could have improved on this segment better. If it was just him and Stacks, his right-hand man, yes. And then don't say scared, say where we need to handle this problem. So this could have been done better, but I'm not 100% down on it.
You could have gotten the same. I think you could have gotten the same effect if he'd have said, "Hey, look, we need to bring in some outside help to help take care of this problem, or we need to sit down and strategize how to take out this Oba problem as a group." Like as opposed to him saying, "I'm scared of Oba Femi." Like that just doesn't. He's Tony D. You're not supposed to be scared of anybody. Like so. Where is my mouse? Give me back my mouse. All right. So then we had the No Quarter Catch crew versus Javon Evans and Cedric Alexander. All of the No Quarter Catch crew is here. And that was an okay match. Javon Evans ultimately gets the pin. Him and Cedric get the win here over the No Quarter Catch crew, which to me I thought was a little interesting just because it feels like you're trying to push the No Quarter Catch crew, and at the same time you are pushing Javon Evans. So I understand why Evans gets the win here, but it doesn't make No Quarter Catch crew look great. And I'm happy to see Cedric, and I like Cedric and Javon together. But at this point, other than, and they did this the right way, if you're going to do this with Evans gets the win with his move. That's the right way to do this. But Cedric getting wins over, as part of a team that's getting wins over a faction you seem to want to be pushing doesn't do great for your faction that you're pushing. So, Cedric shouldn't be getting wins. Now, like I said, Javon actually had the finishing move and got the pin, so that's a little bit better than if it had been Cedric hitting pay dirt and getting the pin. Or that's John Benjamin, I apologize. Cedric hitting his finisher and getting the pin, but it is what it is. I enjoyed this. I like Javon Evans a lot. I'm very high on Javon Evans, so I enjoyed this. What did you think?
Like it was cool, and I'm not mad at Cedric getting wins because again, logically, he's the veteran of all these people. So I'm not mad at him beating the rookies. Like I said, you did good with Javon being the pin. So I'm not mad at it. So again, this is why we have feuds where one side wins, another side wins. So if we're going to do a good feud, let's do a quarter catch crew win next week and then do the blow off. But yeah, I wouldn't mind this at all.
So the winners are celebrating, and then we find out that Javon Evans is going to take on Randall Keith Orton in 2 weeks on the CW debut. I'm here for that. That should be fun. What do you think about that?
Surprised? Not mad at it. I wonder why they chose Randy versus Javon. That's that's kind of a weird matchup, right? It's like, okay, because we all know Randy isn't he's not a fast-paced person, and Javon is very much so fast-paced. So I'll be interested in how this works out. It feels like they're trying to do it'll be an RKO out of nowhere specialty delight. Where he is that going to be Evan Bourne 5-star into a RKO? But I have a sense of it's something close to that probably.
Yeah, I mean it should be a fun match, and it's a good rub for Javon Evans.
Yes.
And it's a rub obviously for NXT to have Randy Orton on NXT. You're getting these guys that have never been there, the Randy Ortons, the CM Punks that have never, so it's nice to see that they kind of come dabble their feet, in the water and have a little segment and then move on. So I'm good with it. I mean, Javon gets a rub, and in theory, it should be a good match. So I think, although I do think that I've been a little disappointed in Randy's in-ring work recently. I thought his 2 matches against Gunther left a little to be desired. I don't know if age is catching up with him. I don't know. It almost feels like he's starting to slow down a little bit. Yeah. He's working even slower than he normally works, and he works slow. At least that's what it feels like. So it'll be very interesting to see him against Javon Evans, who worked, in third gear and cranks the pace up all the time. So it could be a good contract. It could be a train wreck, but I'm here for it. We'll see. Rich Holland says he's got 2 down, 1 to go. Chase Hugh. And then Brooks Jensen is versus Dion Lennox in basically a squash match, a Brooks Jensen showcase match. He's here with Shawn Spears. I guess, I mean, I don't even know what the point of this is. Shawn Spears and Brooks Jensen together, okay. 2 guys that never get pushed and don't do anything, I guess, essentially. Right. I mean, it's weird to me. What do you think about this? Does this do anything for you? Do you care at all?
I care about Shawn Spears. I get why, like right now, you don't know what to do with him. In my mind, just put him with Ethan Page. Just let them be a duo. It's not that hard. But like I said, it's fine as long as we keep remind ourselves that Shawn Spears is here and use him. I'm all here for it. But yeah, you just put Ethan Page. That made it so more harder than it is.
Yeah, I mean, I actually like Shawn Spears. I could care less about Brooks Jensen at this point. And honestly, I think Brooks Jensen has had enough opportunities and hasn't gotten over for me, so he can go away. But it is what it is. Wesley is here, happy about what he did to Trey Miguel, and is ready to end this with Zach. What do you think of Wes's response to Zach's promo from earlier?
Fair, decent. Can't wait for the match.
Town Down wants a tag team title match next week. Okay, I guess more main roster guys.
Yeah,
coming down. And honestly, these are 2 guys that have had such a weird booking on the main roster that I think this is fine for them, really. And even if they stayed for a while, not that either of them I think needs developmental anymore at this point, but they could both stand from getting some time of being bigger fishes in a smaller pond.
Yes,
I think you could give them both a big push. I think both of these guys should both be NXT champions at some point. I don't know when or where you do that, and I don't know how long, but I think they should be. That seems natural for both of them. So, yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with this at all. This feels like a good fit. I am ready for these 2 to be done with together though. Like,
Yeah.
let's have them split already, have the feud, and be on with it. Like, I'm tired of these two together. I
Yeah.
don't like Grayson Waller, and he's dragging down my boy. Like, so I don't. So, what about you? You care at all about this?
So we get it. You're gonna be on a new station. You're packing up the NXT with main roster stars. In my mind, I'm okay with it if there's some kind of connection. And we know Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, some of their biggest moments was NXT. So I'm actually fine with this. I don't I don't like NXT like heavyweight champion. Maybe not, but I'm not. I would be okay with them winning the tag titles before we break them up. The NXT tag titles, I'm okay with that, and let them have a stint, and then when they go back to the main roster, officially break them up. I do feel like they deserve a decent tag team run. Like, it's been fine, but when they won the tag titles at WrestleMania, it really was like, oh, what's next? You had some challengers, but injuries, and it didn't pop off how it was supposed to pop off. So if you want to end it with the last hurrah with the NXT tag title, I'm all for that.
Yeah. We next had JC Jane versus Lola Vice. Fatal Influences here with JC Jane. The match lasts all of 2 minutes, and Lola Vice gets the win with the spinning back fist. This was really weird for me because then they came in and beat down Lola, and Jada came out for the save, and then Lola and Jada kind of got into it. The whole thing was weird to me. First of all, Fatal Influence, it feels like you put them together. You don't put people together unless you have something in mind for them to do. And at least in my mind, right? I mean, that would be like the beginning of a creative storyline for somebody. Okay, we're going to pair these guys together. We're going to give them a name. And then we're going to just have them lose all the time and look really bad. And then we're going to have JC Jane take a loss to Lola Vice in under 2 minutes and, make it look like a squash match when JC Jane is like the leader of Fatal Influence. The whole thing is weird to me. I don't know. What do you think about this? And then hold on. And then the Jada Parker stuff. So then you get Vice and Parker, and it feels like JC Jane's just there to be whatever, that the real purpose is Vice versus Parker, and that Fatal Influence is just nothing really, or JCJ, it is what it is. Like, the whole thing was weird to me.
Right. So honestly, it feels like they're trying to capture the Fatal Attraction group, and you really can't without the top. Like, no offense, but JC Jane was not the biggest person in the group. It was Mandy Rose, Gigi Dolan, then JC Jane. And honestly, at sometimes Gigi Dolan was better than Mandy Rose, but we digress, right? So putting her as a leader, sure, but like you said, I don't see much gravitas in that. More so, let me focus on Lola Vice and Jada Parker. I love these two. Let them have a feud. If this felt like when before Thunder Rosa and Deonna Purrazzo was mortal enemies when they're trying to save each other. Like, I don't need your help. I don't need. That's what it feels like for them. So I'm fine with that. And like you said, like, yeah, when you have we have a team together, that is generally the plan. But if you don't see it, that's my question. I wonder how much time you give them to finally work before you give up on them. I'm not saying they're giving up on them, but like you said, they were definitely the third wheel of Lola Vice and Jada Parker. So we'll see how they get the push, or if any push after this. But better sometimes it is better in a group than by yourself. So at least you get seen more, or at least definitely guaranteed. We'll see down the line, but I'm totally here for Jada Parker versus Lola Vice.
Me too. I think that's exciting. We get the next segment that I thought was terrible as well. Tony D being sensitive and explaining to Riz in private that he's all scared, but that Riz says the family will always be there for him and they believe in him. And Tony says, I have to believe in myself, and it's going to take special training. And it's like, what? There's no part of There's no part of me that ever sees a guy that carries himself like Tony D ever saying any of this stuff to anybody, let alone his girlfriend. Oh, I don't even know if she's his girlfriend, but to a woman. I mean, most of these men are extremely macho, right? And to be fair, I don't want to take general shots, but almost every guy I've seen that was, depicted as a mobster is a sexist dude, doesn't really care for whatever they are, wouldn't be doing this. So this to me was very bizarre again. Two bad Tony D segments here. I was very disappointed in this. Do you anything you want to say about this?
You're like, hey, it's a 2024 Dom. He's evolved. He's evolved. Like I said, it's like you have. I guess you need to put it in better context. If these were closed doors conversations, I can see some of this happening, right? And again, it's all about how you write it out. So next time, let's write it out better. And him expressing his concerns over obscenity to his friend, right? And maybe, like you said, do it in a restaurant, do it at his house, but don't do it backstage or somebody else can hear you. So again, this could have been better. Just put more work into making it better.
Yeah, I'm just not sure about the whole sensitive Don, but it is what it is. So as happy as I was, so let me rephrase this. As frustrated as I am with contract signings, when the show started, I was like, okay, we're going to get this out of the way early. And then we fucking drug it on. And then we brought in Tyrese Halliburton. And then lo and behold, guess what? Not only do I have to deal with one fucking contract segment signing, but now I have to deal with two. And the second one is the main event segment of the fucking show. So, needless to say, I was not happy when I realized what we were getting here in the main event segment, which is Tyrese Halliburton coming down to the ring to try to get Trick and Ethan Page to sign the contract. Trick comes down, praises Halliburton, talks about what a great player he is, all this great stuff. He signs the contract. Page comes out. Page ultimately signs the contract. And then QCM Punk, who says, because we don't have enough bullshit going on in this story to begin with, we need someone extra. This match needs a little something. And that something should be me as special guest referee. So now we're going to get Punk, special guest referee, in 2 weeks for this match between Ethan Page and Trick Williams for the NXT World Championship on the CW debut. What do you think of this main event segment? Oh, good. Sorry.
No. I was here. I was listening to you. I was listening to everything. I get it. Like I said, when segments like this have been done in the past, you burnt. You're burnt. You can't let go of them feelings. I'm okay with oh boy being okay. Stop it. Sorry, I'm getting thrown off. I'm okay. No. With
Tyrese Halliburton.
No. People calling my phone and they. It's stupid. No, yeah, I'm okay with CM Punk being the ref. Like, yeah. More so we were in Chicago, right? Now, I'm thinking because you have Randy Orton facing someone in St. Louis, but here he's just a ref. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, if you want to match with Punk, who would he face? I don't know who. So I am here. I'm okay with him just being the ref here. Because I think all of these, what you call it, we can tell CM Punk wants to run NXT. Not sure when that's going to happen, but that's the vibe we're getting, right? So I'm okay with him being the ref. Gives a little more oomph to Chicago. I think, yeah. When it comes, there we go. I'm in it. When it comes to having main event people in NXT, for me, I need it to make sense. I need there to be some kind of connection. I need there to be a reason why they're here. So this being the reason why CM Punk is here, I'm fine with. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I mean, it still doesn't make any sense. There's no real connection to CM Punk being a special guest, but it gives him something to do, and I guess at least it's whatever. So it makes it more. At least it makes more sense why he's on the show on CW in 2 weeks. For me, this week NXT was really down, in my opinion. I'm going to give this a C. I thought the 2 Tony D segments were bad. I didn't like the opening and closing with the contract signings, even though I didn't think neither of them were terrible segments. I just didn't like it. I don't necessarily, I mean, he has to have something to do, I suppose, because he'd be on the show, but I'm not sure that I care for CM Punk necessarily being injected into this feud as a special guest referee. Um, you know, I'm excited to. I was disappointed that we got an announcement that Sexy Red is coming back, so that brought it down for me a little bit. There were the wrestling matches on this show. I think only one match actually went over like 7 minutes, and I think 2 of the 4 were under 3 minutes. So the wrestling part of the show was very light this week, and I prefer the between the ropes stuff. So anytime that it feels very segment heavy and very storyline heavy, not that I have a problem with that, but when I feel like you sacrifice the in-ring stuff, like having 2 matches under 2.5 minutes, essentially, that it's, it is what it is. So that brought the show down for me. So this week I thought NXT was really down.
No, I agree. Definitely a C. I don't feel 100% like you do with the time segments. I just feel it could have been better.
Right.
Like you said, when you're building up to a special show, you're gonna have one of these dead weeks. Unfortunately, this was one of the dead weeks, but it's fine. It's fine.
Last thing on Tony D, if we're building up to Tony D versus Oba again, this doesn't make that look any better. Him saying I'm scared of Oba, and it just doesn't, right? I mean, it further to give Oba the upper hand, in my opinion, mentally. That's just so. But
yeah,
here's what it is. All right, so let's crack into Dynamite. Miss Anika will take us through Dynamite from this Wednesday.
All right, here we go. And if you see me on my phone, it's because I'm taking notes because I'm not organized at all. That's what I was doing.
It is all good.
Like for people who are watching that, like watch it on her phone because I have a good memory, but I need to know before we do the reviews. I need to have a little list. But all right, I said AEW Dynamite from last Wednesday. The go home show for Grand Slam of next week. And we have it where we have.
It's so weird to say because it's really just a Dynamite, but it is the go home show for a special Dynamite. So
it's like I said, it's weird, but we're gonna ride. We'll let it ride. But like we have BCC coming out, going to the arena all badass looking. Got Darby on a skateboard coming to the arena all badass looking, and then our first match, which goes 19 minutes, which is insane. OC versus Jericho. Now look, we have talked about why this is on our television screen. This feels like a blow-off match. Hopefully it is. Okay, 19 minutes. This should be the blow-off match. This should be it, right? It's done. But positives, they put the work in. This was a decent match, right? If you like wrestling for wrestling's sake, you will be entertained. OC will never let you down the ring. That's just my opinion. And Jericho put on his working boots. Nice little moments. Jericho being stupid with the camera while he's like filming himself kicking OC, even though you missed your kicks because you don't have good hand-eye coordination. Them going through the announcer table, or not the announcer table, but the table that was in the barricade. That was cool. And then, of course, they're both part of groups, so a little conglomeration comes out. Big Bill comes out. It's probably it was a highlight for me because I like Big Bill, right? But I do like Kyle O'Reilly came out trying to kick him out, but Mark Briscoe with the shot. Yeah, always Mark Briscoe. And then all in all, it ends with Jericho tries to use the change to knock out OC, but OC grabs him, do the orange punch. Smart babyface hides the evidence. 1, 2, 3, OC for the win. Like I said, if you like wrestling for wrestling's sake, this was fine. But mind disruption. I want OC out of his vortex. He has served his time twice now. There's no reason for him to be here. Listen, I was somewhat interested when they pulled out the picture of the best friend from his backpack, but if you're not going to do anything, if no one's coming out, then I don't care, right? So hopefully this is the last match of this feud. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are varied. So I love AEW, and Dynamite is my favorite show of the week, usually every week. This started in a very negative way for me because I don't like Chris Jericho and I don't like Orange Cassidy. And the fact that it went 20 minutes really bothered me. I kept thinking to myself, why is this still going? How long is this match going to go? Like 7 minutes in, I was like, okay, are we coming to the end? And then like 10 minutes in, I was like, we're fucking 10 minutes in. And then 15, I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me, right? And then obviously, I'm going to have issues with the fact that the conglomeration and the learning tree get involved. Here we got another match with people getting involved and all sorts of. You can't just have a clean match in some way, shape, or form. Let alone the fact that it doesn't end clean because Orange Cassidy, first Jericho tries, but then Orange Cassidy ultimately uses their quarters to get the win. Yeah. I sure hope that we never have to see Orange Cassidy wrestle Chris Jericho again. And I sure hope we don't ever have to see it again for 20 minutes. So it is what it is. I'm not sure that we're going to get that lucky. I feel like this is the beginning of something else again because now Orange Cassidy's used a weapon and Chris Jericho's going to want his comeuppance because, it is what it is. So, right. So I don't think this is over, but makes me very sad. I didn't care for any of this, and it really bothered me. In fact, that this is how my AEW Dynamite kicked off this week.
Yeah, understandable. 19 minutes.
Also,
for them, yeah.
Also, I feel really bad for Trent Beretta. So, best friends. I don't know. Clearly, it must be because they had Orange Cassidy, but Best Friends was getting a lot of airtime. And then they had to split. Chuck goes out because he's injured. Yeah. And then Trent did like two things, and then we haven't seen him in months now.
He's injured.
Okay. And here's Orange Cassidy with another big faction. So I guess the implication is Orange Cassidy carried that faction too. I didn't realize Trent was hurt, but it's weird.
Oh, like he was the extra sprinkle that made them special. I will tell them that. But I loved all three of them. Unfortunately, Chuck got hurt and then Trent got hurt. And it feels like they were trying to make Trent, more as a singles comparator, but I guess he's hurt, unfortunately, which really
I didn't realize he was hurt. I just thought he was whatever. So I guess at least he's hurt, and that's why he's not getting something. So it sucks that he's hurt, but at least that explains maybe why he's not getting something.
Right, a better explanation of why.
Why even do the split? Why make a big deal about it? Why give him all that stuff if you're not going to do anything with him? If you're just going to let him, which was my thought. I was like, well, that's really dumb. So, but if he's hurt, then at least it makes some sense. So,
most definitely, yeah. All right, so our next, we have a backstage segment, which was, this was so like, what world are y'all living on? We have the BCC, more so, Claudio and the Bastard Back calling out Yuta. He's like, hey, where you been? Like, we're disappointing you. You have to go to work, bro. We're the trios champ. We're going to call someone out on Grand Slam. We better be there. And then Claudio's like, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. I thought I taught you better than this. I thought you taught you to be a man that lives up to your responsibilities. And then the icing on top of the cake, Jon Moxley comes out. He's like, look, we're not going to force you to do this. Yes, you are. The tone of your voice says, yes, you are. But we did teach you to be a man of your word. So we're expecting you to be here at Grand Slam to defend these trios titles. I'm gonna put these two segments together. Then we have Alex Marvez, yes, trying to interview Yuta, who he don't know what's going on, right? He's like, I was trained by all of these guys, but these guys took out Danielson, probably try to unalive him. And so he's like, I really don't know what I'm going to do next. I love how you play this. Next at Wrestle Dream, and I was like, no. Grand Slam, like, oh, I'm sorry. And then he's like, I'm not sure, but he's like, Yuta, you forgot your belt. And so it's like, you know what? To wrap this up, next week I'm going to be there. And I'm going to kick whoever asked me to kick, basically. And so I loved all of this. And BCC, I'm like, what world? Like, y'all do realize that y'all took out one of his mentors, and you told me I don't have the heart for this, but you still want me to be a team with you guys. What do you do? What kind of mind fuck? No offense. I can't say any better or worse. Why are y'all screwing my mind like this? This is weird. What are y'all trying to do to me? But I love every minute of it. What are your thoughts?
I enjoyed it too. I think this is Blackpool Combat Club is in their bag at the moment. Moxley's great right now. Claudio's great at the moment. I like the stuff with Wheeler. I thought Wheeler came off good, all disoriented, doesn't know, left his belt, doesn't know what day he's wrestling, what show it's on, all that kind of stuff, because
Yeah.
he's like, fuck, what's going on, right? So he's lost and then all that stuff. So it makes sense. I thought both these segments played really well. And I'm here to see how it ultimately plays out. We're gonna get the can they coexist. It's gonna be very interesting to see what happens in the ring when they come together on Grand Slam to actually defend the trios titles, to see how what happens there. So I mean, I'm here for it. This is fun at the moment, and I think it gives Wheeler something to do that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Not that Wheeler doesn't. Not that Wheeler's not good or any of that stuff, but it gives him his own little thing to kind of push him a little bit separate, almost kind of from the BCC, by pitting him against them in a certain way, which, you know, we're going to see how that plays out, but I'm here for it.
Right? And honestly, next week, if you want to blow it all up, I'll be happy. Like, you know what? F y'all. I'm going to hit y'all with chairs and y'all lose the trios titles. I'm here for that as well. So next week's going to be great.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. Yeah, and even, again, I don't know but if Danielson was to come out and help Wheeler Yuta beat up the BCC, you know, and I wouldn't be opposed to that either, so.
Right. All right. So next segment we have a Hook squash match where he goes against JD Inc. and it's real quick, real fast. You have Undisputed Kingdom on commentary trying to analyze this fast behind match. Hook wins with the red rum. Cool. We're gonna get Roderick Strong versus Hook next week.
We've seen it before. It was okay.
Right. I don't know what to do with Hook right now. It feels like Samoa Joe, I know you need to make your money, and I want you to make your money, but why did you leave Hook with like this? Why did you leave? We were going somewhere so awesome, and now Hook is just. It feels like he's back at square one. This match, you know, Roderick's going to be Roderick, and the match is going to be decent, but I don't know what to do with Hook, honestly. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have the exact same feeling. Like, I was very disappointed, and kind of like it felt like he came in red hot. I was super excited for Hook.
Yeah.
Everyone was on the bandwagon. Then I feel like he didn't develop as much as I hoped he would over like the first year or two. And then it felt like a couple months ago he was starting to kind of get it. They had him with Samoa Joe. He's been talking a little bit more. Some of his talking has gotten better. So I like that. He has had a little bit of back and forth with Jericho during their little, you know, over the FTW championship, which I thought was okay. And I think that his wrestling is getting a little bit better, but yeah, I mean, now he's going to lose he's not going to lose probably to Roderick Strong, but he should be losing to Roderick Strong in theory.
I wouldn't mad at that, yeah.
I mean, Roddy's a way better wrestler at this point between the ropes than Hook is, and in theory, you know, if we know it's pre-scripted, we know it's fake, but you're supposed to believe that it's real, right? And you're supposed to think that this is a valid competition, and in my mind, Roddy beats Hook in a valid, real wrestling competition. So, you know, and ultimately it's going to be on Roddy to carry this match. Undisputed Kingdom, unfortunately, has fallen apart a little bit. I don't know where Wardlow is. I don't know if he's injured or what's going on with him. Not that I care, because I don't like Wardlow, but it's a missing piece to a big faction that you were trying to push. And then the Adam Cole stuff came back for 2 weeks, and then he's been gone again, and I don't know when he's coming back. So it feels like they're definitely on the downside, and Roderick Strong's been all over the place, teaming with all sorts of weird people, doing weird stuff, like not Undisputed Kingdom related. So the whole thing feels disconnected to me. So I assume Roderick Strong will lose again, because Hook is probably destined to be the FTW champion for an indefinite amount of time again. And that's the other thing. Either sanction the title and have it be a real fucking championship, or don't. Like, I don't understand. Like, we're competing for it, but it's not a real title. Like, okay, whatever. I don't.
Right? Because, like, that's the only thing. I don't think I want Roddy to be the FTW. I
Yeah,
feel like that's beneath him. No offense. He could, like, let him be the ROH heavyweight champion. Like,
I
uh,
agree. I agree.
very,
I agree
very
with that.
frustrating. Like, just do the match to be over with. Um, so we have a patriarchy promo. And backstage, basically Christian Cage, I'm the best. I have this title match in my back pocket, use it whenever I want to. I'm gonna be smart about it. And then Kip Sabian comes in, and then Nick Wayne is like, "Look, we don't care your dad died. Just go, just get away from us." Um, this had potential. I'm not sure how invested I am with Kip Sabian versus Nick Wayne. I didn't mind it being Nick Wayne's first feud, but like I said, 2 weeks, even 3 weeks ago, if you would have had Kip Sabian join the patriarchy, then yes, but it feels like he's not, and I'm not invested in Kip Sabian that much to be invested in him going against the patriarchy. But decent segment. The last Nick Wayne made me pop, even though like that shouldn't make you pop, but it does. It's a running patriarchy joke. You died that. But
Yeah.
what do you think about the segment?
I'm here for it. I mean, it feels a little weird for Kip here. I mean, I guess maybe he was injured or just didn't have anything to do for the longest time, but he
Yeah.
was gone forever and now he's back, and it feels like kind of a weird spot for him, but I guess it is what it is. I mean, Nick Wayne needs to cut his teeth on something, so
Yeah,
Kip Sabian's a solid wrestler and a decent
he is.
promo. It just he hasn't been around and hasn't gotten pushed like that in a really long time. So but to be fair, Nick Wayne isn't really being pushed like that either. So I mean, it's kind of a. I mean, I guess it's fine. I mean, and their match, which we'll talk about later, ends up being fine. I mean, I enjoyed it for what it was, and I do. I'm here for Christian always. I'm always here for Christian. I like the patriarchy. I'm glad that they're still together, and I half assume that Christian Cage will probably be the next AEW World Champion. I don't know how or when, but he's going to cash that in and become the next World Champ at some point soon here. So I don't
Is
know.
that a real reality though? Like I don't see that. Even with the Money in the Bank style opportunity, I don't see him beating Danielson or even Dark. Maybe Dark. I don't want it. I don't.
So if Danielson is cleared, we're going to
Yes.
get Danielson Nigel at Grand Slam.
Not for the belt though.
It's not for the title. It is not
Right.
for the title. But if Danielson is already somewhat, let's say Danielson can't pass up the match with Nigel. He's cleared, but he's not 100%. So he's 75 or 80%.
Right.
And Nigel destroys him in theory because Danielson's not 100%. And here comes Christian. Does that work? And Nigel helps Christian become champion and get over on Danielson. Nigel can't be champion. That's not going to happen. But he can help rob Danielson of his title, which screws Danielson. And we know how much he wants to do that.
Right.
And then Christian Cage is cashed in to become champion. I don't know that that's how it would work, but I mean, in my mind, that's not terrible.
Storyline wise, there's a chance that Christian Cage can win. Anika personally, everyone that's in this freaking company, Christian Cage should not be the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. You have Osprey, you have Swerve, you have K-Man. Screw it. You have Okada, you have Ricochet. There's so many people on this list. MJF doesn't have the title. Like everyone that's on your roster. I love Christian Cage, but never in my wildest dreams I'm like, yes, he should be AEW World Heavyweight Champion. I'm sorry.
The TNT title felt like a really good spot for him.
Yes.
That being said, I mean, he's so good and he's so over at the moment that it makes sense too. I get it. I mean, and maybe he shouldn't cash in and actually be champion. Maybe it should be an unsuccessful cash in or whatever. But either way, it does make sense because he has been. The patriarchy is huge at the moment. He's been over, in theory, he had the TNT title, and the next thing for someone like Christian is the World Championship. So it does make sense storyline wise, but I also understand what you're saying. I mean, AEW unfortunately has a very good problem, which is a lot of really strong main event talent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, yeah, I mean, it's tough when you put the title on somebody because it's like, well, it could be on somebody else, it could be on so and so, it could be on so and so. Yeah, I mean, and ultimately, it's making its rounds, right? I mean, it's been on most of those guys that you mentioned already at least
Yeah.
once, right? So,
Yeah.
he's one that it hasn't been. So, at least Christian would be new as far as a new, first time AEW World Champion. But I get it. I mean, he's 55 and definitely in the twilight of his career. And, I mean, it's a little odd when you have younger, not that they're ultimately like young, but when you have younger guys
Younger.
that, younger that are even younger in their career, especially that, he would be getting over. But, we have that same situation right now to a certain extent, which is Danielson with the belt, right? Like, I love Danielson. I don't have a problem being champion, but that means that somebody else who's in the prime of their career or starting off their career that could really benefit from it doesn't have it. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with Danielson being champion. It's fine, but he doesn't need it. It doesn't do anything for him at this point, really, except solidify what everyone already thinks, which is he's one of the greatest of all time. So where it does more for a Swerve to get a win over Danielson and retain that title, and Swerve's going to be here in theory for the next 5 years or, whatever the case may be, where Danielson's not full time anyhow. So those kind of decisions or booking decisions are weird to me. And this is another one of those. So, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. All right. And so we have this very mid women's tag match with our no offense, I gotta call a spade a spade. We have our champion Mariah May teaming up with Serena Deeb versus Queen Aminata and a welcoming back Yuka
Sasaki.
Thank you, because I don't want to mess it up. Right. Like I said, when I say mid, this is the first month of Mariah May's title reign, and and we were talking about this before she won, right? Like, I wasn't mad. I wasn't against her winning the title. My concern was, what did she do after she wins the title? And you can tell when people don't have a plan for people, and they did not have a plan for Mariah May after she won the title. But coming back to this match, I love the girls in here, right? But we just haven't seen Serena Deeb, Queen Aminata, and Yuka that many times for this to matter as it should. We've seen Aminata and Deeb on Collision a couple of times, but Collision ratings are not as up as Dynamite ratings. So it's like, sure, okay, cool. And all in all, this didn't even have a finish. Mariah May hits Yuka with her freaking belt and beats her like she beat Tony, and it's a DQ finish. This is a huge step back, and like I said, even if you don't have a plan, I feel like you should at least have someone should be the first program for someone who just won the title, right? And it might have been Mina, it might have been visa issues, but if you can't get Mina here within a month, then choose someone else decent, right? You have Willow, you have a Deanna Prasso, you have a Statlander. You could have had someone who we've seen on Dynamite constantly to make a rivalry between Mariah May and them more meaningful, right? And then they didn't even announce, they announced it on Twitter, not even on Dynamite, that on Grand Slam it will be Mariah May versus, can you say her name again? Yuka.
I just say Yuka Sasaki.
Yeah.
Sasaki.
So they're gonna have that match on Grand Slam. It'll probably be fine, but this was very, like I said, it was a very mid. Hopefully. Mariah May called out Mina a week ago. Hopefully, when Mina comes out, she did have a video package. I'll say it right here because I'm not even sure what was inside. Fast forward, we do have a Mina video addressing Mariah May, and she was like, Mariah May, I do miss you, but you are not the same. You, all the money and power has changed you. But I hear the chants of we want Mia, so Mina is coming. She didn't say when she's coming, but she's coming. Like I said, so we don't have a time frame for Mina. In the meantime, between time, we'll have Yuka versus Mariah May for Grand Slam. It'll be decent, but like I said, horrible build. What are your thoughts?
I have a problem with Yuka versus Mariah May, but this is not good. This is not a good segment or a good look for your AEW Women's Champion. No offense to Serena Deeb or Queen Aminata or even Yuka, but so far none of them have been booked or pushed as a main event caliber wrestler. They're all basically mid cards, and we haven't even seen Yuka really do anything. So it's hard, really. And I assume that the first program for Mariah was supposed to be Mina. But even then, you've got to do better. You've got to have a plan B that's better than this.
Yes.
This is not a good spot for your world heavyweight or for your female world heavyweight champion. And at this point, like, I mean, as great as it was, and I think it was fine when it happened, like, I mean, Toni Storm would be better with the title at the moment than Mariah has been so far. I mean, so it is what it is. We'll see what they end up doing. But yeah, I mean, and this match was clunky. There was a point where Serena Deeb went to tag Mariah May, and she's sitting on the steps, sitting looking at her title and didn't even care. So, I mean, Mariah's not even, and she's not supposed to, but she's not even invested because she knows that these people are all a level below her, right? Like, none of these people are really going to challenge her. So why does she even care? Like, I mean, I don't even. Which to me is, frustrating in and of itself. It doesn't do anything to help build up the other three competitors, which I do think that Serena Deeb and Queen Aminata should be considered at least lower card main event talent. I think they're both that good. Yuka, I haven't seen enough to really make enough of a judgment call, so we'll see.
She just got back.
But they haven't booked Serena or Queen Aminata really like that yet. I mean, Aminata's been getting a little bit of a push, but Serena Deeb's been booked really weird. And so I thought her even being paired here with Mariah May was odd. Like, where is Serena Deeb? She came out of the blue for me in this situation, kind of like. It's like, okay, so yeah, I mean, it's really weird. They've got to do better for the women's world champion.
Like, they're doing stuff on Collision, but like I said, Collision's not getting enough views. And if you do it on another show it here. Just say, like, you know how you like WWE do that all the time. They're like, last week on Thursday, this is what happened a week ago. Like, so at least if you don't know, if you're doing the work, catch us up with video packages.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because if you only watch Dynamite, like a lot of times that's the only show I'll watch during the week of AEW.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know that Serena Deeb's been on Collision. You would just think, where's Serena Deeb been? And now all of a sudden she's here again. Like, she came back 3 months ago from injury, and then she hasn't been on my TV. Well, she's obviously, but she hasn't been on Dynamite, and now all of a sudden here she is again, getting a big spot with the world champion. It's like, well, okay, the whole thing is weird. So yeah, you got to make it make sense. Make it make sense.
Make it make sense. All right. Speaking of video packages, we have a Nigel McGuinness package, which unfortunately had to be tried 3 times. TBS, come on. And so, like we joke about their technical difficulties, but when you have something as important as this video package, I need y'all to do 1, 2, 3 test trials before going game time, because this video package mattered, right? For people who do not know who Nigel McGuinness is, besides being a commentator on Collision, right. So don't know who he is. This video package showed why he's calling Danielson out, why this match, if it happens, matters. So let's go to the video package. Basically, you start with Nigel saying, if people didn't know you're a wrestler, you kind of fit your reality. And it's like, no, I used to be really great. And then this great video package of Ring of Honor, and this great video package of Nigel wrestling, and more so competing against Danielson and them just beating the crap out of each other. You actually have background people talking about this feud. It was so good. That's why I'm like, test stuff out before you show it, because this really mattered. towards this angle at Grand Slam where we may get Nigel versus Danielson, right? This was so great. Again, okay, if you don't know Nigel, if you've never seen him wrestle in ROH or TNA, this is why this is why he's a great wrestler, and more so the video package, this is why him versus Danielson matters. What are your thoughts?
No, I agree. Technical difficulties aside, Nigel's a good promo. It's fun, and this was, this is all the stuff that you and Nika specifically often complain about, where we don't get enough background on people, on why they don't explain to us why there's a feud, why we should care. And you're right, even though, as wrestling fans, in theory, it's fun to go back and watch those matches. The chances are good the bulk of people that didn't watch Ring of Honor at the time are probably not going to go back and watch those matches, and they shouldn't have to know what's going on here. You've got to bring us up to date now, and I think this video package did that. Which is something that AEW has struggled with in the past a little bit. So I was very happy to see that. I thought the package was done very well. And I think it did exactly what it was supposed to do, which is educate everyone about Nigel McGuinness, about the rivalry between Nigel and Bryan, and why it's a big deal and why we're getting this match. So I liked it a lot. I was here for the whole thing.
All right. So quick aside. They're pushing this notion of if Danielson is cleared, if he's good to compete. I love the Moxley storyline so much. I don't want Danielson to show up because I don't want them to ruin the storyline when Moxley says Danielson's indisposed. Well, he's not quite often, right? So I'm leading to this question to you. What are the odds Danielson shows up for this match?
Got to be 100%. I mean, that's the way I see it. Maybe he'll show up with, bandaged ribs and, kinetic tape all over his body. I don't know how they're going to do it. He's going to hobble out there. He'll be all beat down. But Danielson doesn't walk away from a fight. And if he's cleared, if the doctors say you could do it, and it's against Nigel, okay, let me explain. Let me say something. Mm-hmm. This makes my heart happy, this match.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't happen, I'm going to be very, very, very disappointed. Now, that doesn't mean it couldn't happen down the road still. And if that's the case and we still get it down the road, then that's fine. But if this is the one opportunity and Danielson decides not to show up because his Moxley ever can't do it, and we end up not ever getting this match again at this point, I'm going to be very, very, very disappointed. Because why even do any of this buildup then? Then just let it all go. Don't ever talk about doing the match if you're never going to do it. And I understand you can't always predict whatever, but Danielson isn't really hurt, right? So this is all kayfabe, right? So if he's not really hurt, you're doing this on purpose, and why would you tease us with a Nigel Danielson match and then not give it to us? So if that's what you do, I'm going to be really fucking mad. So in that regard, I can't imagine they would do that. And Danielson being who he is, and the issues he's had with Nigel, I can't imagine. He'd come being carried to the ring. I can't imagine he's going to miss this in any way, shape, or form. So, I don't think that would happen.
Yeah,
but it does kind of mess up the Jon Moxley storyline. Although if he comes out super beat up and super and loses to Nigel, since it's not for the title, if he loses to Nigel, it does kind of solidify a little bit about what John said. He's really not available. You thought he was. He came out. He tried to push it. He's not available, Darby. He's not here. You know what I'm saying? He can't, so maybe that's it. And now the further beatdown, he tried to struggle through, fight through the pain. He lost to Nigel. Nigel kicked his ass even more. Now he's doubly hurt. And now he's even more indisposed. I can see that working that way as well. So.
Right. No, I totally get it. You go.
I was just going to say, I sure hope they don't not give us the match. That would really upset me.
Yeah, I get it. On my point of view, as someone who watched Collision and who has heard Nigel ranting on Danielson, I was here for this match. I love the promo. I didn't need it for me to get hyped up. I wanted more for this build of Danielson versus Nigel. I thought this would be a Wrestle Dream match, right? But like you said, if they do what you do and they run this back, I would be okay with that as well. So there's ways to get around this. All right. So we have BCC coming out through the audience trying to go to the ring. And it's not funny, but it's funny. We have Private Party. Okay, I'm sorry. So beforehand, we have Private Party cutting this promo of basically we're tired of people taking us for granted or looking down on us. Like don't get it fooled. We do have that dog in us. And you're gonna attack us. We're gonna come out swinging, right? Case in point, BCC comes through the audience and bless their little hearts. They try to do a sneak attack and they try to beat up. Isaiah's hitting Moxley with these punches, and Moxley's face is priceless. He's like, "Really, bro?" It's like to the point where Marina's like, "Get off of him," and just takes Isaiah and just tosses him to the barricade. And basically, Claudio and Marina beats him up, and then Moxley is finally like, you know what, I'm gonna tire y'all too. And then so they basically beat up Private Party. Commander tries to help old boys out, but he goes for the tope suicida, and Claudio just bam uppercuts him while he goes through a rope sweep. Jesus. And then of course BCC's on top. Marina basically debos Alex was Commander for the mic after she basically ring tosses him and kicks his behind, and she has the mic for Moxley, but Moxley is not ready yet. He goes under the ring and he grabs out a toolbox and he grabs his hammer. So he gets the hammer, he gets the mic, they go towards Private Party, who's being held down by Claudio and the Bastard Pack, and he's like, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about right here. Y'all been here for what, 5 years, and y'all in the same freaking position? Like, y'all need to do better. So you know what? I'm going to give y'all what y'all need. I'm going to give y'all a little bit of friction. You're going to thank me for this later. And he freaking hits Isaiah's hands with a freaking hammer. I loved all of this. I hate the Private Party had to be the sacrificial lamb of making BCC look good. But hey, they're doing this. I would love down the line if they run this back. And Private Party's better. Don't know how that looks, but Private Party, Moxley was right. This makes Private Party more credible. So I'm here for all of this. So they hit Isaiah's hand. They're walking up the ramp, and late behind Darby is finally here for the save. It hits Claudio with his skateboard and beats Claudio up. And then they roll into the ring. He was going. I love this because it's so intriguing. So, and then he goes for Moxley, right? But when Moxley gets up, they're not hitting each other. They're just eye to eye, and they're just walking around each other in a circle in the ring. Claudio, he pissed off, so he wants to get his lick back. But Marina, being Moxley's right hand man, she's like, no, he got this. This is he told basically this is where it came off to me as. He told me the plan, so let him handle Darby, basically. And so Moxley just rolled out the ring after he's like, "What are you doing, little boy?" That's basically what Moxley's energy was, right. Going toe-to-toe with Darby in the ring. "What are you doing, little boy?" He rolled out the ring, and then Darby gets the mic. And Darby does this incredible promo where he's just like, "Yeah, like I'm real life tired of you guys, and I'm not sure what y'all plan is, but here this is basically my plan. My plan is to go against Danielson, 2 Washington State boys at Wrestle Dream. So if I had to go through you, Moxley, to do it, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna beat you behind and reclaim him as mine, right?" And then Moxley like, I love the body and facial expressions of all of this, which is why it's like, why would you do? Like you said, let's say Danielson comes out and he does the match. Why would you didn't have to do this here. You didn't have to do this here. You could have done it someplace else, in my opinion, because this is so good. Moxley with this higher power, higher call to make AEW better right now is so good. And I'm loving every minute of it. And I'm here for Darby versus Moxley. It's going to be great. I know it for sure. What are your thoughts?
It's one of those weird things because Private Party does get the rub, I guess, from being in a program to a certain extent with BCC. At the same time, everything Moxley said stings a little because it's all true. Yeah. And I want more for Private Party, just like I feel like I want more for Top Flight. There were quite a few tag teams that started with AEW that they had in the first year or two that haven't done anything, that just don't get any whatever anymore. Private Party's one of them. They were in that Matt Hardy vortex for a really long time, and it feels like then Matt Hardy went away and they haven't done anything. So, at least they have this here, and I look forward to them hopefully getting a match down the road with the BCC and coming to get some receipts for this. I don't know what that looks like. Like you said, I can't imagine they'll win, but at least they get the being in the ring and a little bit more time on TV and the rub from being with BCC. So here for that. I do love the new kind of re-energized Jon Moxley. I like the official heel Blackpool Combat Club, which is how they should have always been. Like, it never felt like they kind of teetered on that face fence a little bit and sometimes fell on that face side, and I didn't like that for them. They should be heels, and so this feels right in their lane. Marina's coming off great right now, and all this stuff is working really well. Yeah. All this, which is great for her because I wanted more for her. She's really talented, and she wasn't getting it necessarily in the women's division. Yeah. So I like this for her here. I don't know what that means for her as far as anything in the women's division. Probably not much, but at least she's getting time on TV here and getting to make herself look really strong and tough here. So I like that. Yeah, that uppercut from Claudio to Commander was insane. Caught him all midair. That always looks good. And Moxley Darby should be phenomenal. I thought Darby had a great promo, and I thought that all of it worked really well.
So good. So good. All right. And then we have a video package of Jack Perry. He's in his car. He's in his truck. Talking about they're after me. Are they? Are they really after you? They're not. Right? Shut up.
They're not.
And so basically, him being the scapegoat, blah, blah, blah. It feels like they don't know what's next for Jack Perry as TNT champion. And, until you figure it out, these promos are fine. Not sure how believable they are. Like, sir, we know who your daddy is. Ain't nobody after you. This is not your real life. This will never ever be your real life. Sorry. But it's a cute little video. Your thoughts?
It's weird because this new scapegoat Jack Perry is definitely better than Hollywood Jack Perry, but it's still hit or miss for me sometimes. Sometimes it's really good and sometimes it doesn't work so well. And for me, this little video package didn't work all that well, this little segment. Like, I don't care about you riding around in your dumb looking truck with your stupid scapegoat written on the top. Like, that stuff does nothing for me. And I just don't, I don't, it is what it is. I mean, I don't, he's not moving the needle for me. Like, at this point, I don't necessarily have a problem with him as TNT champion, but that being said, I'm also ready for someone to beat him and take that title too, and for him to maybe do something else. But me personally, I still think that his sweet spot was when they were Jurassic Express and he was with Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt. I mean, for me, Jungle Boy, and we've seen it now both ways. For me, Jungle Boy still, I think, works best. Jack Perry works best as Jungle Boy as a face. Then he just doesn't. There's something about him that just feels inauthentic. Not genuine as a fan, as a heel, right? I mean, he's just not there. Like, he's not doing a bad job per se. It just doesn't feel like him. It just doesn't feel right. So, so ultimately, I'd love him to see, and obviously, you got to get kill switch Luchasaurus away from Christian Cage.
Yes.
So at some point, I would love to see them back together again. I don't know how, when, what that looks like. But yeah, I mean, this video package did nothing for me. I was bored with this.
Right. All right. And then next up, we have. Yes. So I have been down on the Ricochet matches, not because they're not good, but when you give me a promo of I'm going to be the Ricochet my fans want me to be, and in my opinion, it's the same Ricochet you were in WWE. I want more from you. That's just it. One of the matches are bad. I want more. It feels like TK said, all right, your debut matches are going to be Kyle Fletcher and Sammy Guevara. And it feels like someone else, Will Washington, was like, okay, let me choose one. Lucha Underground, you're going to face Beats Mortis. And this gave me what I needed. This like, okay, I haven't seen this stuff. This is high paced, exciting. Let's freaking go. And this so next match is Ricochet versus the Beast Mortis, and it was so freaking good. So Beast Mortis has been wrestling in AEW on Ring of Honor and in tag team matches. I didn't get anything special from him, but he shined here as well. Where like it was high paced, but also hard hitting. Please go back and watch it if you have not. I'm trying to think of. I don't want to screw it up by not giving it just due. One of the spots for me where I'm like, oh, out of my seat, top rope power slam the Beast Mortis gives to Ricochet. Like, oh shoot, oh gosh, he's not okay. He's okay. It's fine. And then Ricochet gives a Canadian Destroyer from outside the ring ropes. This is like, it was fast paced but also hard hitting. I think this gives this what you call it. This is case in point. The answer is always Lucha. The answer is always Lucha. Always. But Ricochet wins, and he should. Awesome match. Your thoughts?
I thought the match was great. I haven't been at all disappointed in anything that Ricochet's done so far. I thought him versus Sammy was really strong, and I thought him versus Kyle Fletcher was really good. I don't necessarily think I was seeing a whole lot of different Ricochet per se, but I still got to see him against guys that I wasn't getting to see him against in WWE, and guys that are more that have more of a style that works well with him, as opposed to a lot of the WWE guys. So I like that. Mortis is amazing. I like Mortis. I'm a little. I don't know that I necessarily like the mask that he wears all match long. Right. I'm not sure that I care for the name Mortis, but as far as a wrestler goes, dude's amazing. Like in ring work, he doesn't ever talk, so I have no idea if he can speak at all. But his in ring work is amazing. It's fast paced. It's fast like a small guy, but it's hard hitting like a big guy. Yes. He has that perfect combination of speed and strength, and everything he does looks like it hits with impact. He's one of those guys that has that ability to make everything that he does look like it hurts really bad. And I thought this was really good. I mean, I thought this was great. And you said Ricochet should get the win here, and I kind of agree because I feel like they're really pushing Ricochet, especially since he's getting a match with Ospreay and all that kind of stuff. But Mortis has been getting wins, and I really like him, and I wouldn't mind seeing him get a real push. So a win over someone like Ricochet would have done him. I think a win for Mortis over Ricochet does more for Mortis than a win for Ricochet over Mortis does for Ricochet. Let's put it that way. That being said, I understand why Ricochet won. But yeah, no, this might have been my favorite match of this whole episode.
I can agree. I agree. Totally concur. All right, next up we have, so they show a video of how deranged Heyman has become through all of this foolishness with Swerve. Like he's in the pool. He's in the pool. He's going down the rabbit hole. Not sure when or if he will ever get out. Then we have an in-ring interview with Tony Schiavone with Hangman, and he basically says the same thing. He was like, "I told y'all what I was going to do with Hangman, and I would do it again and again. And now I'm going to go against everyone who got in my way of destroying Hangman." And he's like, throughout all of this, there was one voice against me. I guess it was Tony Schiavone, and Tony Schiavone was like, "Well, what about everybody else? About Swerve? What about him?" And then before he gets behind, well, here comes Jeff Jarrett to beat up Hangman. Nice little nice little tussle. The Hangman gets out from underneath Jeff Jarrett. Then Jarrett gets the mic, and in a nutshell, he was like, "Look, the last thing you should have done was put your hands on my wife. I don't know how or when, but if it takes everything in me, I'm gonna kick your behind." So here's my thing on Jeff Jarrett and Hangman, right? I was there during the Owen Hart Cup. I saw the promo Jeff Jarrett did that got him to this point. Whereas it's like, sir, ain't nobody, you're supposed to be here to get you behind. No one told you to do a promo to get you over. No one said that. No one said do that, but you did that, and now we care about you. But and then I do love where throughout all of this, Jeff Jarrett was kind of the person, not indirectly stopping Heyman to get to Swerve, but like, you beat me. The Owen Hart Cup. He wanted a fair fight between Hangman and Danielson, so he came out to stop Heyman from doing devious acts. Follow up, I want to say him and Swerve, Heyman wanted to do something devious. He came out and stopped Heyman from doing this. So logically, this makes sense to do this match. I'm glad I didn't do it all in, because that was rumored. I'm like, no, this match isn't big enough. If you have to do a blow-off match, free TV, even if it is Grand Slam, it is still free TV, is, the place to do it. Do it and then let the feud be over. Even though I do appreciate Jeff Jarrett's character and position right now, I I do want more for Hangman. And I know everybody's occupied right now, so you need a buffer match before Heyman moves on to the next person, or bigger and better things. No offense, but there it is. So I'm not down on this being a feud, but let's just do the match and get it over with. Is my feelings. What are your feelings?
I'm always upset anytime I have to see Jeff Jarrett on my TV, and anytime I feel like Jeff Jarrett's getting like the hero plug or like the good guy plug really bothers me. And that's what it feels like here. I didn't really care for this at all. Like, I'm not necessarily opposed to the upset Hangman Page, but for me, Hangman Page's upset should be more kind of like Tony D'Angelo scared was with Obafemi, like that sensitive kind of, as opposed to, like, I feel like Tony D and Hangman Page should switch their personalities in these segments. Like, Tony D should have been all upset and angry and psycho, where like Hangman Page's character to me is more introspective, more sensitive, more, even though I know he's been doing the psycho stuff, that's not where I feel like is his sweet spot. And so I feel like his sweet spot is more when he's that kind of emotionally open, tough guy that people can really kind of empathize for and feel compassion for. So, and I don't like it, even though he's a heel at the moment, and even though he's spiraling, it doesn't feel like Hangman in any capacity to turn his attention on a Tony Schiavone. Like, I don't like that at all. That didn't feel right at all for Hangman's character, even this character of Hangman. And then, fucking Jeff Jarrett. Like, it is what it is. I guess he gets to be the good guy in this situation. But it's like, really, dude? You touch my wife, and the last thing I'm going to let you do is put hands on Tony Schiavone. Like, when did we declare Jeff Jarrett like the savior of anything? Like, the whole situation is bizarre to me. So, and I guess if you don't have anything to do with a Hangman Page, it gives them something to do. But like a program with Jeff Jarrett to me is terrible. So it doesn't, to me this is bad for Hangman. Like to go from Swerve to Jeff Jarrett. Like I mean, what are we doing? Like what are we doing?
Like, no, I agree. Like I said, I'm glad it's on free TV. If this was on pay-per-view, I would have been more pissed off. But it's on free TV. Do the match and be done with it. This shouldn't be a full-time thing. This should be a one match, hit it and quit it.
Yeah. And for whatever reasons, I don't think that we've seen the end of Swerve and Hangman. Now, to be fair, I do think this is going to be they're ongoing as it has been, but they're ongoing long time, 5-10 years. These two just always hate each other. Every couple of years they're going to have another feud or something, over something. Yeah. And so I can see that because, but at the same time, like I am ready for them to also move on and do something else. Not Jeff Jarrett for Hangman Page, but something else, right?
Right.
So.
Like right now, I think, like you say, give people time for pieces and places. I think what's the big thing next for Heyman is Okada. They're choosing that before this thing. So I think they're giving us, because we'll talk about it later, because we got a lot of people that want to face other people. So give us time, and hopefully, God willing, we get all the matches we want. All right. And so next we have a backstage segment. It feels like right after Ricochet defeats Mortis, but we just see it now. Renee tries to get an interview, but here comes Ospreay, and he's like, Renee, can you give me a minute? Like, all right, sure, bet. But the camera's still there, and so he's like, hey, Ricochet, good on you. I told you to get some wins. You're doing your thing. I'm proud of you. And so Ricochet, and I like this. He was like, why are you trying to little bro me right now? It's like, yes, you did tell me to get some wins, and yes, I am winning. But let's not get this twisted, bruh. It was both of us who changed the landscape of wrestling. It was both of us, and I am the Ricochet. It's like in this line, you can believe it or not. He's like, and it feels like ever since I got here, people have been coming for me more so than becoming for you in that title. Right? And so he's like, I wonder why that is, because Ricochet is a bigger name. Basically, he didn't say this, but basically, Ricochet is a bigger name than Ospreay. Again, take it how you want to take it, but let Ricochet cook right now. Let Ricochet cook. And so he's like, but you know what? I'm going to do you a favor. No one's calling you out. I'm calling you out. I know you're doing this little bit, trying to get United Empire back together. So so Grand Slam, be busy. But October 1st, the 5th anniversary of Dynamite, am I correct? How about you and me for that international championship? It's like, you say you're on a whole new level. I'm going to show you why I'm out of this world. Very good promo. I like the passion of it. And yeah, I would have, if you would have had a decent tag team to go against Young Bucks, I would have wanted Ricochet versus Ospreay at Grand Slam. But I digress. Whatever. One moment here. This being on the anniversary of the 5th anniversary of Dynamite is still pretty sweet, right? I love Ricochet in here. I love him. Like, talk your talk. And this match is gonna be great. Like, I don't like to put high expectations on matches, but with certain people, it's hard not to do that because it's going to be so good. But I love how Ricochet came off in this promo. What are your thoughts?
I love it too. I mean, anytime that Will Ospreay is going to wrestle, I'm always excited. And Ricochet, Will doesn't have bad matches, and Ricochet, when he's booked properly against the right competition, doesn't have bad matches either. So, I mean, it should be an amazing match. I mean, I don't know how it's going to rank in comparison to, him against Pac, Ospreay Pac, or Ospreay Omega, or any of those things. But in my mind and on paper, it should reach those heights. Like, I mean, you have Ospreay and you have Ricochet. I mean, it should be, when it's all said and done, we should be looking at it like, is that a match of the year candidate? I mean, in my head. So, that's what I'm hoping for. Like you said, you don't want to put too much on stuff and be disappointed, but I don't know how you can't put a lot on this. I mean, not only from the buildup and the hype, but just the fact that these two guys are both amazing. So, and they're very similar in style. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the match goes off. But I'm very excited for all this. I thought that this was good. The promo work between the two was good. I think these two have good chemistry, and yeah, I'm all here for Ricochet versus Ospreay. I think that's a real payoff here for Ricochet coming to AEW. Although, like I said, I didn't have any problem with Sammy or Kyle Fletcher. I think he's had two really good, strong, debut or opening matches on AEW, better than anything I've seen him do on WWE in any recent times. So, I'm here for it, all of it.
Yeah. All right, and then we have our main event, which is a trios match. The Elite Young Bucks with Okada versus the Non-Callis family, adjacent, with Osprey, Cal Fletcher, and Takeshita. And I love how Takeshita came out, where basically he's like, I don't know what the game plan is with y'all, but it's all about me. Like Fletcher tried to give him a fist bump, and he's like, I'll focus on the ring, go on my business. But then they get into the ring, Ospreay and Fletcher are hugging. So you can tell who's on whose page. And maybe because it's the main event, who knows? But the Elite were on one, and the Don Callis family was on one. I love this. Was such a great match, and I love the little teases because like you had Okada versus Ospreay, and it's like, yeah, we didn't do that in AEW, and then Takeshita won the tag, and Ospreay's like, nah, let me have this, and that leads to the running story, which I love, which is I don't F with you. But Takeshita basically is like, I don't F with you. I don't like you, Ospreay. I don't like you. It's like, so at any point in time, I'm going to tag myself in since you don't want to tag me and I asked for it. I'm just going to take it. And that was awesome. And then the other story of, oh, look, for people who were arguing of while this single star is in this tag team division for this little moment. Look, yes, Cal Fletcher and Ospreay used to tag team a great deal with each other. This isn't a one-off. This actually is something they've been doing for a minute. So their tag team stuff was great. Like I said, the Elite and Young Bucks are just so good. Of course, Nicholas Jackson is just flying all over the place, as he will do if he has the energy and then Okada, like I said, you have Okada versus, and then Okada and Takeshita face off were great. Okada versus Ospreay were great. We talk about all these ring matches, and when people get hurt, it's so unfortunate because it's like, why didn't y'all do this now? This is why it's like, it's very hard to book a wrestling show because some stuff does need build, but there's the fear of, oh, what happens if they get hurt and we never do it, right? So not sure, because even with this, okay. So to case in point, Don Callis family wins. Cal Fletcher gets the pin, and Cal Fletcher's like, I'm actually winning. Thank you, Ospreay. And then, sure enough, they show a United Empire graphic on the screen, and Don Callis like, technical difficulties. It's still Don Callis, which was hilarious. But the heat between Takeshita and Ospreay is like, I want that as of right now, Takeshita has no title. And even though I still want Okada versus Takeshita, if you get me Ospreay versus Takeshita, I want that too. So it's like, y'all plan this out, but I want both the matches. This is my order for wrestling. I want both the matches. You tell me when I'm gonna get it. There you go. But like I said, great main event. Sorry to ramble, but your thoughts?
I enjoyed it. I mean, all six guys are really high quality wrestlers, so you're going to get a good match. There were a couple spots the Bucks went for the EVP trigger and they missed. I forget who it was that they were going to do it on, but whoever it was ducked and they bashed their knees together, which I thought was fun. That's always a fun spot. Okada, Okada seemed it was interesting to me because in the very beginning, the first time he was in the ring, it was his interaction. I felt like, oh, we're gonna get that Okada that maybe doesn't give a fuck too much and isn't really here. And then by the end, I felt a little bit differently. Like he was more engaged towards the end. It's like he kind of went from unengaged to engaged. So, but overall, I thought it was really good. I don't have any complaints about it. It's a good main event spot. Like I said, you can't go wrong with these 6 guys in the ring. Takeshita and Ospreay would be a ton of fun. I'm definitely here for that. That would be a ton of fun. I'm here for Ospreay versus anybody at this point because Will doesn't have bad matches. Um, it feels like Takeshita would really benefit from having a title, and it feels like maybe Ospreay's title would be a good place for him to start at the same time. Like, I don't know how you book Ospreay to lose. Like, he has to lose. There has to be something that comes into play to make him lose because Ospreay doesn't lose clean very often. So, and I don't know that he should be losing clean in that situation either. So, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this a lot. I thought this was a very solid main event. I thought it was a very solid Dynamite. There were, a couple nitpicky complaints. The opening match being 20 minutes long, or being at all, let alone 20 minutes long. But other than that, I mean, I'd have to say, yeah, man. Well, I gave Raw a B. It just feels like I in my head I was thinking it was a B too, but then I think of Raw and Dynamite together and compare them together. I think Dynamite was a little bit better for me, so I think I'll probably go B plus and then give Raw a B. And yeah, NXT was bad this week, so we won't even talk about that. But yeah, I think Dynamite edged it out just a little bit, and the only reason that it edges it out a little bit for me is just because in between the ring ropes, you get so much more. So, in that regard, WWE always, even when it's a Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins, or even when it's a big dream WWE match right now, it always leaves me a little short. It always leaves me a little disappointed. Like, I can't remember the last time I was like, oh my God, that WWE match was incredible. Whereas, like, I feel like I see that almost regularly every week on Dynamite. I mean, to a certain extent. So, in that regard, it's, it's so Dynamite was definitely a little bit better for me this week, but Raw was good this week though too. So
for
about
me, I'm going to give Dynamite a B. And for me, I think Raw beat Dynamite only because
spicy.
The women's segment, I loved Io versus Bianca over the women's tag team match. Like they definitely beat Dynamite on that. And like you said, or Ospreay,
Jericho.
OC and Jericho. Even though it was 19 minutes, it was fine. But I wasn't invested in that. I am invested in Judgment Day. So for this week, I'm gonna give it to Raw.
So we're split here. That's why we need our third person. We need our tiebreakers.
And anybody in the chat, tell us who y'all got, and then that'll be the winner.
Who had the better week, AEW Dynamite or Monday Night Raw? But since we split on it, I guess this week we won't announce a winner. We'll go with. We'll have to wait till we have our third person here to be our tiebreaker. So, but no, I mean, it was a very solid week of Raw. For me, as a, even though right now I'm a huge AEW guy and I'm a little down on WWE, I am a lifelong WWE fan. WWE brought me to wrestling. They were here before WCW came in my world. I mean, when I first started watching wrestling, it was only WWE on TV anywhere where I could find it. And then WCW came along in their iteration. But I've always been a WWE guy. So I want them to do good. I want them to be good. And so the fact that it's been now, we've been doing this as the 8th episode, and 7 so far have been AEW Dynamite winning. It's good that I feel like Raw competed this week and that you actually picked them, because it shows Raw stepping their game up a little bit. And to be fair, Dynamite was down a little bit this week, but I'm happy to see Raw stepping their game up and getting a good grade from both of us, like a B and a B plus, or so A minus. You give them an A minus, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So,
I did.
Yeah. So. And I think that's the first time Raw's broken that A. So I could be wrong, but I'd have to look back, but I think so. So, but either way, thanks for joining us. Is there anything else you want to say before we do our little house cleaning and get out of here?
Nope.
All right.
Clean it up.
All right. Here's the QR code. Scan that QR code. That will take you to Linktree. From Linktree, you can get to all of our social medias. It's like a hub that shows you everywhere we are at. We are everywhere. It's, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, X, everywhere there's social media, we are there. You can engage with us. We'd love to hear from you. Please take the time to engage with us. Check the community poll or the community section on YouTube. I often post questions there about who's going to win matches or little trivia stuff, and or also announcements there about shows and stuff. If for some reason we need to make an announcement about something. So check that out. We are here every Sunday. First of all, join us tonight we will be back for Saturday night is all right with our AEW Collision Watch Along. It should be myself and CM here at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, watching AEW Collision, giving you our opinions and reactions in real time. And then join us tomorrow, Sunday, for Enter the Square Circle, starting at 8 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. Eastern, where myself and Sammy Joe are fighting it out on WWE 2K24. It is Block C of the NAP or SNAP tournament. So make sure submission-only matches. So make sure and tune in for that. See who comes out of the C block. Then on Tuesday nights, we're live for the Cookout, where we all come together and talk about all that's cooking up in the world of professional wrestling. That's at 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. And then Friday Night Fights, where Nika and Sammy Joe, generally, it's the two of them, watch SmackDown and Rampage in its entirety and give you their real-time response or reactions and opinions. That starts at 5 p.m. Pacific with the start of SmackDown and ending at 8 p.m. at the end of Rampage. So I think that's basically it. Make sure if you're new to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button on this video, hit the bell on the YouTube to be notified. That's the best way to make sure that you know every time we're about to put something up, because you'll get a notification so you can catch everything that we put out. So thank you so much, and join us again tonight at 5 p.m. for Collision. Until next time, peace.
Bye.